Hello, you're listening to Otaku Spirit Anime Cast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined here with Chris.
Yo.
Today's episode is our Winter 2025 anime season first impressions. We're getting late to the season already. We still got one more part to go. Hopefully one more part. I told Chris, I'm like, we technically have a lot of shows in this list. And yes, I made the note last week that they're all like returners, the big shows. Because honestly, this is a season of returners. But at the same time, that's usually the ones we want to talk about the most. But at least we don't have the intros and stuff like that. I think what'll happen is if we make it, we make it. If not, we'll just do another part or throw them in a discussional. We'll just do a discussional half impressions episode. But yeah, as per usual at otakuspirit.com, that's where all of our links are, social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us. We greatly, greatly appreciate it sports channel. But yeah, with that said, let's just jump into it. Let's kick things off with 100 Girlfriends Who Really, I think it was 5, right? Love You. Second season. That show's happening, Chris. Are you enjoying the new season of not I'm supposed to say Rent a Girlfriend? My gosh. Why did I have Rent a Girlfriend in my brain at the moment? I think because I had this conversation the other day about Rent a Girlfriend, Girlfriend, and 100 Girlfriends. So my brain wanted to go in that conversation. That happens. Anyways, yes, for those that don't know, 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You is a guy who never had any luck with love. And then at some point, this god of luck comes and says, yeah, I kind of messed up. And then I kind of entered you for 100 girlfriends. So you're destined to meet 100 people, because apparently in this world, if you don't fall in love with the one that you're destined to fall in love with, like bad things will happen to him. So he's kind of forced to have to, be in love with all the 100. Like, poor you. He's forced to be in love with the 100 girlfriends, and so he's meeting them one by one and bringing them into the harem, and then shenanigans happens. And the good thing about it is that Rento's a good boy. He deserves it. He deserves every single one of them. He's a good boy. He's a rare protagonist that you're like, good job, Rento. He does a good thing. Because typically the girls have like some sort of little problem or something like that, and he usually helps them out with them in some sweet way, and then they doki doki for him.
Yeah, and each one of them has a really good, solid story, and he takes his time with each one of them, and then he has these little harem moments where it seems to be the thing that he's going to do from now on. It's catch a girlfriend, add him to the harem, and then go through a process of doing some kind of shenanigan harem moment, which in the last one that I watched, it was the wet maid contest. So it's kind of fun to do the little how can we goof off with the harem at this point. Okay, now that we have this many girls, she adds this kind of tweak to the conversation as it is, and how can we make this particular harem moment goofy. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I always like the fact that it's usually the introduction, which is when he first meets him, the zap happens. Yeah. The zap. And then like the next moment will pretty much be him trying to help them with some sort of problem. And the next moment is where he brings them to the harem. And then most of the time they'll have like the icebreaker. There's always an icebreaker moment where he somehow gets them to kind of fit in. Because like with this season, we meet Kurumi. Kurumi is a foodere. Like they just love food. And if they don't have food, they're super grumpy. And so her whole problem is that she's always hungry. And that feeling of being hungry all the time makes her grumpy. And thus she lashes out at people. She doesn't do well with other people. Plus everything that people bring up often will make her think of food. And then she'll have to be wanting to go get food. And so her whole thing is that he wants to, show her that, she's really, really cute and smiles a lot, and she's fun to be around when she eats. She makes eating food look really, really fun. And so it's showing her that. Then she's like, well, I ski you. And he's like, oh, I love you too. And then he suddenly brings him back to the harem. Now, the problem is that when they bring her there, she doesn't really want to socialize with the others. And so what their icebreaker is that he goes, okay, well, there's this contest for a food eating contest. So we'll go there as the Rentaro family. We'll join together and we'll beat the competition. And you get this nice ice cream at the end of it that she really wants to eat. And of course, she's like, no, I can do this alone. I don't need you guys' help. And then at some point during the competition, she learns what the Rentaro family is and how they all helped her out. And she wishes that she relied on them more. And they come together all happy. That's typically how it kind of goes. And we got the Maido. We got her joining in the group. And then this last episode, we got Rie Takahashi. The masochistic Rie Takahashi joins the harem. I didn't think I'd like her, but I like her, and it's just the writer. The writer's so good at this stuff. It's just like every single time I think I'm not gonna like it. Of course, I didn't really care much for Kurumi's whole episode, like the tournament, the food eating contest. I didn't really care much for it. That was probably like one of the rare episodes of this series that I didn't really care for. I've always loved this series through and through.
It was kind of, yeah, there was a couple times where it was like, okay, move on. I really don't care about mecha gorilla person, whatever.
I actually like her, okay? I just like the fact that she's like trying to show up to Shoda. There's this gorilla lady that's all muscular, and she's got like the Yakuza group with her, and then she's got this little Shoda that's cheering her on, and so she's got to work really hard. Of course, I think the reason I like her is because her introduction was with Kanane.
Sumo.
Oh yeah, I didn't really about that. Yeah, that was not much of an interesting. I did like how it wrapped up though, because it's like the whole like I literally thought that he was gonna ask her to feed it like bird mouth like type, but no, she's like just he's like like he would never turn down food offered to him by again. It's Rentaro, dude. Yeah, Rentaro is such a good boy. Like every time he does something, it's like,
oh god, good boy, throw up a food that was given to me by my girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean that was like the whole rice thing. Like his way of getting through all the rice was just they would offer him food, and so he can't turn down. So each of the girlfriends comes up and offers a bowl, and he just takes it and eats it because they're offered to him by his girlfriend. He can't turn them down. Rentaro is like such a good boy. But no, I've always loved this series. I think it's great because it plays off the harem tropes, but it does it in a way that's just kind of refreshing. The characters are fantastic. I think each one of them has like their own difficulty they're facing that's just enough. Like it's never too much. Like Kurumi, she's just grumpy because she needs to eat. But in actuality, there is a actual struggle there. Yes, if you are hungry, if you're a hungry person and you're around other people and your stomach is literally eating itself, guess what? You become grumpy. She has obviously a high metabolism, and so she burns through food very quickly. It makes her hungry all the time. She's stuck at school where she can't eat unless it's lunch break or whatever, and thus she's grumpy around people. It's a thing that happens, and he's showing her that she has a value, that there's something special about her. And that's what he wins her over with. And that's been always every single character. Hahari is basically the whole idea of her having this child, not having a childhood. Kanane and her tsundere nature. Hakari, her thirsty nature. Shizuka, her inability to speak to people or speak out. Nano and her logic thinking. Kusuri and like all the experiments she did in the past and, wrecking relationships. Like each one of them has like a very, pretty solid surface level story. And how they kind of advance them over time has always been the fantastic thing. And Mado, of course, being she has to listen to orders. that was cute. The Mado was actually very, very cute. And again, I fell in love with Mado very quickly. Her demeanor is just super cute. But yeah, that whole like thing about like you can't do anything to serve me. That's your command. And so she's like standing there. He's like, you're so beautiful standing there, so I can't help but feel like you're serving me something that's beautiful or something like that. And she's kind of like, I have to go leave. She goes over and hides behind the corner. Oh, I could see you're sneaking a peek at me, and it makes me feel so comforted. And she's like, oh no. And she gets in the car and drives off. She goes back home, and Hahari's like, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be on a date with Rentaro. And she's like, I can't figure out how not to do things for him. And then he calls up the phone. Calls up Hahari and she's like, hello? Oh yeah, 1 second. Hands it over. Just thinking about what you're doing right now just makes my heart beat and jump or whatever. And she's like, I don't know what to do to stop doing things for him. It was cute. The only way that I can not do things for you is just to pretty much end myself. Okay, we're going a little too far. Rentaro, you gotta stop this now. It's great. The characters are fantastic. The comedy's fantastic. The chemistry's fantastic. Like I said, besides maybe Kurumi's little, like the whole food thing, I've loved every single episode of the first season, and I've loved every episode this season. So it just keeps delivering. It's just good stuff. I just can't get enough of it. Shizuka's best girl with Kanane though. Shizuka and Kanane.
Shizuka's still best girl, yeah.
She's adorable. There was the whole bat thing. We had a brief moment of. I guess I shouldn't say this because it's kind of a spoiler. Brief little moment of Shizuka doing something, and she swings this bat, and she goes with the weight of it, starts to twirl around in a circle. I'm like, gosh, she's too damn cute. Shizuka's too damn cute.
I still think that nothing really tops the zombie episode. Put her up on the
Dude, that entire episode, Kusuri's episode in the first season with the zombie potion, was it the Kiso Hazard or something like that? That episode was just pure gold. I mean, the Shizuka thing was like when she falls over, and again, another sign that Rento is so great. Shizuka's chasing after him. Kissu, or it's Chu. She's just running with his phone in her hand, and she's supposed to be a zombie. And then suddenly she just trips and falls right on her face. And then suddenly it cuts over like this wide angle where you can see her flop down, and he's way off in the distance down the hall. And he just 180. Shizuka! Like he runs over there and picks her up. She's supposed to be a zombie, and she immediately turns around to go get her because she fell and hurt herself. I mean, that's just like whenever they were, running after him, and everybody else is like just passively helping out Shizuka because she's just this adorable thing they all have to help out, even though they're all supposed to be kiss zombies. The Karane and the Hakari kiss each other. Those two, dude. I mean, they had it with the baby. They had a baby episode. Did you see that one?
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. Kurumi and Karane are both babies, and Hakare's not. Hakare's equipped. And so they obviously are going after some food there. And literally after they get changed back, they're still staring at Hakari because they want more. I'm like, this is so wrong. This is so freaking wrong. Anyways, I got to stop. 100 Girlfriends, Whatever I Love It. It's still just a phenomenal series. Just laugh out loud moments. So can't get enough of it. What else do we got? Sakamoto Days. Did you ever get a chance to watch Sakamoto Days? Sakamoto Days, easily probably the most anticipated show of this season. Everybody was just absolutely just chomping at the bit for the show to come around. I think there's a very much so a divide between people that are loving it and people that are like, it needs to look like Ufotable. Everybody wants Ufotable animation. There's almost like this side effect of what, Ufotable does for properties like Demon Slayer, where it almost feel like everybody expects everything to have that budget.
Yeah.
There's some rough points in this show. I'll be perfectly honest. There are some rough points in this show, but I've been enjoying it. But yeah, Sakamoto Days is airing on Netflix. TMS Entertainment working on it. Manga is the source, action comedy. This series is about a guy, Sakamoto, who is like one of the greatest assassins of all time, legend. Everybody that is a possible target fears him, and everybody that is works alongside him pretty much reveres him. And so, yeah, at some point, he ends up going to a store where he meets Aoi, who's this lady, the clerk at the store, and he immediately falls in love with her. And then they start going on dates together. Eventually, they get married as a kid, and yeah, he lets himself go. He quits his job and lets himself go, and he's this big, chubby guy. But he's working at this little convenience store. It's like their own little family shop. And yes, eventually, things catch up with him, because once you're an assassin, always an assassin. And so people want to get rid of him now that he's no longer working. Like his old boss is literally sending his old comrade Shin to go take him out. But yeah, it kind of turns this whole thing where people come to try to kill him, and he ends up beating them through like odd means because, yeah, his wife knew what he used to do. She actually made him stop, because she's like, you got to stop killing people, because like she like tries to show him by jumping off this building, and he, of course, he's able to catch her and save her. And he's like, what did you think about when I jumped off that side of that building? You didn't want to lose me. Well, there's so many people that you're killing that have that same feeling. Their family have that same feeling. They don't want to lose their family. And so she's like, you can't keep doing this. And plus, she wanted him to sort of work to undo what he's done wrong. Like do good deeds in order to offset all the wrong that you've kind of done. So that's basically him just living with his family life and, enjoying things together, people showing up, and him pretty much bestowing upon other people the meaning of family and whatnot, which is kind of another thing to it. So, yeah. My thoughts on the series so far, I really enjoy this show, and it's multiple reasons. One, I think it's got a great little family aspect to it. I like the fact that, everything he does and the people around him just kind of get swept up into his family. We had Shin, who's this guy that has like, he's a psych, so he's able to read people's minds. The ongoing shtick with him and Sakamoto is every time he does something wrong, he can read Sakamoto's mind and see how Sakamoto wants to kill him. So like he does something wrong, and all of a sudden he in his mind thinks of himself getting jabbed in the throat and getting killed, and he's like, stop thinking about how to kill me. We meet Lou, who she's like, her family was involved with the Yakuza or something like that, and they wanted her family treasure, so they kind of help her out, and then she joins it. So they kind of get just pulled into him and his family, and then quickly they find out that yes, he's got a hit on him, and so different groups are coming to attack him, and he's got to, offset them. They go to carnival, and different individuals come there to try to kill him, and they have to hide from the wife that they're being attacked, while at the same time stopping anybody that tries to kill them. But it's got a family aspect to it. The other thing that I really love is I love the comedy around the action, because unlike most series where it's like, he takes out a gun and shoot, it's more like because because his wife will literally divorce him if he kills somebody. It's like in the rules of the family. He has to find out like the most odd ways of taking people out. It's what was I calling it before? It's like unconventional fighting methods. So it's kind of like a John Wick kind of thing without the guns, where he grabs a spoon and he's able to take out the guy that has the gun. He takes out chopsticks and he's able to catch bullets in the air, that kind of stuff. Unconventional ways of taking out people. A cough drop, he shoots it with a rubber band and deflects, or he spits out a cough drop and deflects a bullet that's coming towards his face. Like it's odd things like that I think it does really well. It gives me a very similar vibe to something like Spy Family. It's just got the wholesome family mixed with crazy action stuff every now and then. This one's a lot more action than Spy Family, obviously. Spy Family is very much spy rather than just constant action. I always made the argument with Spy Family where I always feel like even though one of them is supposed to be an assassin, we never see her do anything assassin-y. This is kind of like that if that was the case, where there's more action than actual comedy and family stuff. So I like it. It's got a good mix there. I will admit,
2 episodes in the last season.
Yeah, suddenly I don't know, we're finally doing stuff with your. I will admit that I'm not a fan of the visual quality, more so in the character designs, which I know the character designs are very much so the original manga. The action scenes I haven't had a problem with. I know that a lot of people, I think, imagine what the manga does is portray a velocity that they don't think is being done by the anime. I think it's pretty spot on frame for frame with a lot of the action scenes, so I don't really know that I fully agree with that stuff, but I mean, if that's what you feel, that's what you feel. I think it's been fine. I think there's only been like one shot, like when he was fighting the hard-boiled guy, there was this one shot where like they're fighting down at the floor level, and then you see these people, they're over here, they're getting on this Ferris wheel, and they go up the Ferris wheel, and they're like up here, and they're talking to each other. And again, the last shot that we had was them down here on the ground, and then suddenly out of nowhere, they're shooting across the sky, and they land inside this Ferris wheel up in the air. But the shot of their physical self, like coming towards it, was almost like they just took this steel and they just kind of slid it across the screen, and they didn't change the size of it as it came in to show kind of that perspective. It just looked really bad. So there's been shots where it's like, ooh, that was not good. That was rough. But overall, it's not been bothering me, so I enjoy it. I very much so enjoy it. I will admit, I was very hot on this show for the first couple episodes. I was super, like, my gosh, I was loving it. And I think I've kind of cooled down on it quite a bit. Like, I've kind of chilled out, and I think I'm at a comfort level for it, where it's like because I think with the first 2 episodes, I was like up in like a 7 or 8. Like, I'm really enjoying the show, which is high for me, by the way, people. Now I'm kind of like down in a 6 or 5 area. Like it's cooled down for me. I still enjoy it, but it's definitely come down for me. So we'll see. That's Sakamoto Days. I do suggest it though. It's been a fun little ride so far. Flower and Asura, did you get a chance to watch that?
2 episodes. You
got 2 episodes. I was about to say, because like I know that I was pushing you, and then last week you're like, okay, I'll do it, and then like you're saying that you had a busy week last week, so like, oh no. Flower and Asura, Hana wa Saku Shura no Gotoku. This one is streaming on High Dive, done by Studio Bind, sources of manga, drama, slice of life, and of course the creator is the creator of Sound Euphonium, Ayano Takeda. So this one opens up on an island where we have this girl, Hana. She likes to read to the children of the island. They really enjoy listening to her stories. She reads from book. Everybody gets kind of swept up in it. At some point, she gets the attention of Mizuki, and Mizuki ends up overhearing some ladies talking about how Hana was going to be going to this one school next year, her new school, and it's like this other island. And once she hears that, she pulls Hana off to the side and says, hey, you're going to be joining our school next year as a first year. Join our club. I have a broadcasting club. You read stories really well. You can join that broadcast club and do your recitals there because you're really good at reading stories. And so she's like, why would you join a club? It's not like you have competitions for recitals, right? And she's like, oh, yeah, you do. It's called the NHK Cup. They do broadcasts and apparently recitals of stories that you read out. And sure enough, she ends up joining the school. She's like, at first, not really going to join them. But eventually, Mizuki ends up kind of following her home and finding out that the reason that she doesn't want to join the club is because she's got to take a boat to go back to her home island every single day. And she doesn't want to ask for the guy that ferries her back and forth to wait longer for her to go to club. Because apparently she's the only girl her age on that island, the island that she lives on. And she's always been looked up to by all the children of the actual island. And so she wants to be the big sis that is not selfish. She wants to set an example. So she's kind of burned into her head that she shouldn't ask for anything. And so it kind of turns into this kind of a stopping point for her from being selfish and always kind of being walked all over. Until eventually that night, Mizuki ended up staying over her place. The next morning, she goes out into the beachside, does this recital of this Akuma or something like that. Does a recital and captures Mizuki again. And Mizuki's like, I don't care what, I'll do whatever I need to do. You're joining my club because you're so good at this whole thing. Tell me what you really want to do. And then finally Hana speaks up and says, yes, I want to join your club. I want to do this with somebody else. And so she joins the club. The fairy guy's like, yeah, that's fine. My daughter loves you. I would love to be able to kind of accommodate you to be able to do a club for this stuff.
Niece.
Yeah.
Didn't he say niece?
Was it niece? I don't remember. You never see the guy again, so I've have not committed that to my brain.
Well, it was on the last episode I watched.
That's true. I'm like 6 episodes in, and you're like, yeah. But yeah, anyways, she joins the club. We meet several individuals, all who are joining the club for different reasons. You got like Shudai, who has joined to do sound effects. He likes doing sound effects, so he's going to do, broadcast sound effects apparently at some point. An, who is apparently somebody who used to do recitals in her previous school, and she actually went to competitions as a announcer instead because she just had a better voice for it. Mizuki, who's of course the lead of their Matsuyuki, I think he's going to be doing announcing as well. So yeah, just different individuals, and then of course the people that are already been there, which is like Ryoko and Satoru. So yeah, and so they eventually learn about this. They have like a really elaborate, expensive setup for a studio at this school. Like they have some money that they put into broadcast in this place, nice studio and everything. And they just kind of do different things, like learn about, exercises for, your voice, how to enunciate words, how to do proper recitals, because it's based on like how you use inflections and whatnot for different words that you say. That's very important. Eventually getting to why she gave up on recitals and went to broadcasting or announcing instead. Who else did we get into? I think we really got anybody else at this point. Hana and her difficulties, and if she wants to take it seriously or just do it because she enjoys it, that kind of stuff. So your thoughts so far with your 2 episodes. You tried. I still think, I hope you're liking it, because that's the telling point if you're going to continue or not.
I'm interested in it. I'm kind of curious as to what is the drive. If it's just a artsy type show, I think I could go for it. If it's the broadcast stuff, I'm not so much interested in it. That's my telling point. Yeah, the stories of the characters will be fine. So far the at least 3 of the characters seem fun to dig into. But I was absolutely blown away by the kind of poem things that they were doing. They were just going whole ham on this person is taking me into the moment, and they're just going just nuts with it. In particular, her recital on the beach was absolutely gorgeous. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, I think we get pretty much an episode of that. It seems like once an episode you'll have that. It
seems like it, but that was only 2 episodes, so but it seems like that's what they want to do. So if that's what this is going to be about, I might just go for it. Getting character stories out of it while they're doing a lot of the recitals and stuff like that I could go for that.
I think definitely for sure. I do love when, because I mean that's really where it feels like Bind's having a little fun. Like Bind just like, oh, I think overall the show looks really good. I think it's definitely to like it's like a higher caliber than like what they've done with Mushoku Tensei season 2 part 2. But not to the levels of season 1 of Mushoku Tensei. It's like that middle area right between those two. Mm-hmm. Like it looks really good. The shading's really fantastic. I love the art style of the characters. There's a lot of flow and motion to their hair and whatnot. And again, like I said before, I think the moments whenever you have a recital that's happening of a story, it's suddenly out of nowhere. It's just like they go ham. Yeah. With Shudai watching her, and then suddenly she's like floating in the air, or she's floating in water basically. She's kind of drifting away in the water. They have On goes up on the stage and just kind of gets swept up in her speech. They have later on this Blue Spring story that they're getting into, and there's got this water fountain in the background and the reflections in the water below them. They just go ham with the cool little artsy aspect of, again, getting immersed in the story. And I always liked how I might be missing some of them, but it seems like most of the stories have some sort of personal connection to the story, which I do appreciate too. Like even the Blue Spring story later on is about somebody who has no confidence, that is being helped by somebody, and they want to repay that person. It's obviously Hana is seeing herself in that, and how Mizuki's helping her.
Well, the one on the
beach side
on the beach was her being trapped by
yeah.
a bunch of flowers or something like that.
There's like an expectation for her to be doing this to feed into other people's desires, and suddenly she wants to free herself. That's the story there. There's a story that Mizuki ends up broadcasting to the school before she joins the club, and it's literally about being stuck on this railway and not able to move, but then suddenly calling out to their father to let them kind of go forward. It's being stuck in one place and finding a ability to go forward. There's always like a symbolism to it, and I always like how they kind of do matching with the character stories. Other than that, though, I think the character stories are fantastic so far. So far, we've really only deep dived into On's story, which was the one that I was most interested in from the very beginning, and I like what they did with it, because my immediate assumption was based on like there's subtle storytelling that's happening early on to sort of give you a preconception about what On's going through. And the assumption is based on like what Shudai is saying over here and what she's saying based on their previous school and how they compete against each other, how she used to do recital and then she did announcing. The assumption is like, oh wow, so she's probably like Hana, where she liked recital, and then at some point, because she had innate talent to do announcing, she was pushed to go to that, right? Like for the competition's sake, she was pushed to do that, right? That's the assumption you get in your head, and then that's whenever she's pushing back on Hana and saying, you know, you should take it more seriously. It's all about winning. Okay, so she's gonna be the one that's always about like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this if you're doing it to have fun. You should take it serious and go for the win. And so the assumption is that she wants to do that. And so when everybody keeps telling her you should do recital, just do what you want to do, she gets frustrated. She's like, leave me alone, I'm doing announcing. No, you really want to do recital, right? And it gets to the head of this point where it's like, suddenly she's like, stop telling me to do something I don't want to do. I am doing this because I want to win. And so it was like this big eye-opening moment where I'm like, wow, this is cool, because I sort of made the same assumptions everybody else did, yet the story at some point has her literally tell them, look, this is my story. I went and did recitals because I just wanted to do it on a whim. I brought my friend with me. My friend kept talking me up about how great I was at it, and I was enjoying that, yes. But then at some point, my friend beat me, and then she said it was just it was just a stroke of luck, and it made me feel belittled because she beat me, and she's acting like it was, it was just a fluke. No, she was better at it than me, and I never want to lose again. And that's why I'm doing announcing, because I have the voice for it and I have the innate talent for it. And she just doesn't want to lose again. She's driven to have success. And I like how Matsuyuki Matsuyuki over here, I think he joined for her on. They haven't gotten into it yet, but I'm pretty sold that Matsuyuki's there for her. Matsuyuki is this other person that's all about, basically, don't do anything unless you see a reward in it. I don't do anything. I don't put effort into anything unless I see something from it, a reward, a benefit. And so he's like, I think she's similar to me. And so I can kind of see how she feels, that she doesn't want to do something unless she knows that she can achieve it. That's why she chose to be an announcer, is because she knows that it's less, you don't have to build into something without seeing some sort of success from it. And so, yeah, like that. Yeah, he's like telling everybody, and she starts to go, ski. Mm-hmm. I love that. But yeah, he sort of sees what other people don't, because everybody else in that club is really all about do what you want to do. They're all there for fun. Whereas Matsuyuki and An are there for results. And it's not a bad thing. I think that's a nice thing there. It's like, it's not a bad thing that you want to do something because you know that you'll get something from it, rather than doing things and achieving nothing. And I think that's really, I don't think An's story is done yet, but I do like to have that moment where we finally see, seems like the tsundere has broken. It's good stuff. I think it's been fantastic so far. There's actually a little bit in there. It's not too heavy on the info dump about what recital is. I mean, again, to the caliber of this writer, like Sound Euphonium does have a bit in there that's about like instruments, a little bit in there about band and whatnot, but it's never too much. I think they're doing basically the same thing here. They're good at kind of giving you a good surface level information about this stuff. Yeah, there was one episode where what they call them, the teacher rep person for their group came in there and kind of, again, went into some deeper detail about, like, again, flexions and how if you draw out these words differently. The example I gave is, like, you can't say kawaii or kawaii. You have to drag that last syllable out there properly, otherwise you'll say something completely different. There's a lot of complexity to the Japanese language that even for me kind of goes over my head, but it's been enough that doesn't take away from it. They've been doing just enough to kind of give you an idea of what they're... It's really one of those things where you don't realize just how complicated being an announcer or a recital person doing reciting can really be until you actually get into it. So it's been good. It's been good. But yeah, I think it's beautiful. The characters have been fantastic so far. I think there was maybe like one segment of one episode that was kind of a bit too drug out for me, but for the most part, I've been really enjoying it. It's been a fantastic series. This was fighting with Medalist for me for number one of the new shows. Medalist has overtaken it for sure at this point, but it's still an easy number two for me. I'm really enjoying it. Do you think it can continue it? I guess that's the question mark.
As it stands right now, I mean, you're kind of implying that it's more about the stories and the artsy. So I probably will.
Uh-huh. Did you notice On's voice? People got mad at me because I didn't notice On's voice.
The one that actually caught me the most was actually Hana's mom. I need to look at and see who she is.
I think I've recognized her too, but it's been like, again, 5 episodes since I've seen it. This episode 2, I think, is the last time you see her. But no, On's Utena from Gushing.
Oh yeah,
it's so funny because at some point I was talking about how I wanted to keep an eye on Utena, and then she had that stupid high-speed Atole show that was like, blah, I'm not gonna watch that show just for her. And then now it's like whatever Utena comes up, if I miss her, people get mad that I don't talk about her. It's like, oh, well, I'm not that sold on Utena yet, but she does. On's the speech that she did for the announcing, because like when they first come into the club, they're supposed to like introduce another one of the club members, and so they pair up. When On went up there and she did her little announcing / speech, it was like, I don't know if it's because of the visual, what they were showing, but I almost felt like I did get a sense that On was a person that has done recital, because it sounded like she was telling a story, not announcing. And so I was like, wow, it's like that. I think that was probably what kind of tipped me over the idea of her wanting to do recital, but she's being forced to do announcing. It almost felt like there was an intentional, subtle storytelling there, which I thought was fantastic. So I'm getting back into it. I love it. Flower Nasra. Check that out if you will. From Bureaucrat to Villainess, Dad's been reincarnated. Did you hear about that? Did you hear about Dad getting reincarnated as a Villainess? Mm-hmm. That would be hilarious if he found that out. Chris just comes by and he's like, Andrew, I was playing this Atome game on the Switch. This thing is Dad.
No questions are going to come up when I say I'm playing an Atome game on the Switch.
How would you not play an Otome game on the Switch? You don't play Otome games? You don't play Sims in general, and you just like, I'll play this Otome game.
I have no time to do it, so
if you're gonna play a visual novel or Otome game, you're gonna play it on the Switch, probably. Anyways, Aku Yaku Reijo Tensei Oji-san. This one's streaming on High Dive, running for 12 episodes, done by Ajiado, based on a manga, comedy, fantasies, the genres. And this one follows a bureaucrat, I think it's 52-year-old civil servant. I don't know, I can't say that. He's a 52-year-old civil servant. He's a hard worker, and at one point, he's coming home one day, and he notices a kid about to get hit by a truck, and he runs out there, pushes the kid out of the way, gets hit by the truck, and Truck-kun sends him off to the world of an Otome game, which he realized very quickly that it's an Otome game because he used to be an otaku when he was younger, and his wife was an otaku, and they grew up molding their child to be an otaku, so they're very much otaku family. And he remembers at some point that he did see his daughter playing this Otome game at some point. And he's actually in the body of Grace Avenue, which is the villainess of the story. Upon realizing this, he's kind of trying to just figure out what's going on. Everybody's, of course, panicking because suddenly Grace is not being a total villain like she is. We find out later on that there's a reason why she's such a villainous person. It's that whole backstory thing where there was the expectations of being the princess, marrying the prince and being very refined and everything like that, that she decided that she had to be the way that she was. But anyways, he goes to the academy that the villainess goes to, very quickly realizes who the main character is, which is Anna. Anna is the protagonist character that's a commoner that because of their aptitude in something, ends up getting into the school because of her grades and everything, even though she's still a commoner. And then everybody's really mean to her. And then eventually she meets the prince and all the other hot guys, and eventually chooses one of them to romance. And so very quickly he's like, okay, I got to confront the main character because I'm supposed to be the villainess. And what happens is, unfortunately, his inner dad just kind of messes him up every single time. Typically, with every interaction with anybody, one of two or three things kind of happen. Either his dad's side comes out and he says something really nice, or his work experience being a bureaucrat will come into play with like him working with a team or whatever, and how he kind of interacts with people. And then there's another thing where he has this cheat skill where whenever he does something, it will translate into Grace's self to do something else. So if he does like a Japanese bow, it will turn into a graceful Grace bow. So he's got like this translator basically all the time, this translator skill that always translates to Grace. And so, yeah, when he confronts Anna, he immediately goes into dad mode. Even though he's supposed to say something critical to her, his dad's self instincts kicks in. He goes, oh, yeah, your parents must have worked really hard to get you in this school. You must be really grateful of them or whatever. And suddenly Anna just starts crying her eyes out saying, you're right. My parents worked so hard. I'm so glad that you can appreciate that or whatever. And then she's like drags him off to the side because everybody's like, oh my gosh, Grace is going after Anna and getting her to cry. So they have to kind of shuffle off the distance. This kind of continues from that point on, in trying to be critical of Anna and her commoner ways. He through Grace kind of expresses that I'm going to make sure that you need to shape up basically. And Anna takes that as, oh, Grace is going to basically tutor me on how to be a graceful woman in the school or whatever. And so she's basically following Anna, Grace around like a puppy. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Grace going around the school, everybody kind of being shocked by how Grace is not being as mean as she used to be. Him trying to be a villain, but again, his dad nature kind of
miserably failing it.
Yeah, miserably failing at it most of the time. But yeah, eventually summons a dragon that is his self and Grace merged into one, which was a little weird. Yeah, and like I said before, getting a little backstory about her and eventually having a little bit of a Lisa Lot moment. I kind of expected that was going to happen. Kind of happy it happens. It's kind of cool. What are you thinking so far?
Love it. This is so goofy. I loved the... we got about, I want to say, 3-4 episodes of basically him fumbling around the game. And it's been absolutely a blast watching him do it. The last couple of episodes, they've added kind of a twist to the story, and I like that they're doing this. In particular, it kind of started with the dragon. This little interesting tidbit, I actually think it's kind of refreshing. It'll be interesting.
I already spoiled it, by the way.
Did you?
I mean, anybody that's watched Lisa a lot, they know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
They have a less play aspect to it.
Adding that to the story is interesting. I kind of like it in the where Lisa is more. It's still the character, but they're kind of trying to talk to the.
They were
characters.
God voice, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas this one is kind of doing it in a different way, where it's so
Mechanic
far
based.
Yeah, it's mechanics based. It's so far they're not really specifically able to communicate to him. While he did say that he heard her while she was interacting with the dragon. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with that. And I really do kind of want to see. I don't want them to interact too much. I think it's more fun him failing miserably at a lot of this stuff. But I do like the idea of them pushing just a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they kind of implied there's some mechanics that they will have to be involved with, which I think they imply that switching to different elements requires it.
Yeah.
Like she's like, crap, I have to make sure that I'm there for like the whole tournament thing because I have to control that or whatever. I don't know. I think my mind is more in the idea of I'm curious to what they're going to do with that. Because the assumption is, I mean, it's obviously they want to help him. Like, they thought that they lost him. They want to help him. But I'm kind of curious if that's going to be an overall story to the idea of... There doesn't seem to be, like, an issue that you typically have with these series where it's like, suddenly the daughter realizes that she didn't pay enough attention to the father. They were all... it's a very loving family.
Yeah.
Like, there's no issue
I
here
absolutely
besides wanting
loved
to be
the... Mom, you're going to think this is crazy.
Nope.
But I think Dad's in the shit.
Nope. Got it.
Totally on board.
Again, you do not realize that I used to be an otaku. This is not my first rodeo.
I'm an isekai otaku.
This is not my first rodeo. It's cute. I think the thing that really kind of sells me on this series, and I'm surprised that it really hasn't got old at this point, is I just like the main dude. Like, him as Grace is just pure comedy gold, and they've done really well at kind of continuously kind of evolving it, not having it kind of get stuck in one place. I just think he's overall just a really solid character. I will admit, I mean, I like Anna's geeking out every now and then about how much she really likes Grace and looks up to Grace. It's fine. The male characters, which I don't really expect too much from them, they could be here. They could not even be in the show, and I wouldn't even notice a difference. Like, they're just, anytime the scene cuts to them, they're just talking about the typical things. Like, Grace has changed, hasn't she? Has she? Yeah, Grace has changed. Okay, don't care. Move on. Like, I've really any interaction with the male characters has been pretty much a throwaway. Again, most of my enjoyment is around him as Grace. I think it's been a really fantastic character duo, so to speak.
That's all right. Every one of them at some point are all going to turn yandere on each other. So, because they keep pinking all over the place, so they're all going to go yandere on one another.
The affection points keep going up.
Yeah.
But yeah, really enjoying it, really liking it. So from Bureaucrat to Villainess, Tad's been reincarnated. What else? Anyways, I'm falling in love with you. Tell me you're watching this show.
Like, totally not.
You're totally not watching that anyway. I'm falling in love with you. Oh my gosh, I'm falling in love with you. I'm never going to get over that title. I'm sorry. I'm never going to get over the title. Anyway, I'm falling in love with you. My gosh. Dose, koshite, shimona. I'm trying to say it like a Valley girl, and I'm totally butchering it. Shimonda. Dose. This series, I have no information on my sheet here because apparently I didn't care to fill it out. I do have the characters, though. It follows Mizuho, who at the very beginning of the show, she's older. Apparently she's working, I think, as an editor or something like that for a manga, I believe. I think she's a mangaka. I don't know. She's working. And at some point, she kind of starts thinking about her past. This one summer in 2020. I wonder what happened in 2020. There was this infection that was going around in 2020. And it was like the worst year ever because she liked this one guy who was in the swim club, and she was looking so forward to him doing his competition, but they canceled it. And so she's just really looking forward to him, and he's like, stop putting that pressure on me, and then yeah, she basically rejects her. I don't know. So yeah, her whole like confession or something went bad, and then she goes back to her childhood friends, which she has like 4 guys that are all her childhood friends, and they're all super hot.
She got a roster?
Huh?
She's got a roster?
She has a what?
A roster?
A roster of hot dudes, yes.
Wow.
Who all have their own little character tropes. Like, you got the nerdy glasses dude. You got the hot blondie guy. You have the crybaby boy. You got the goofy guy. They have their own
and
tropes.
She's in love with all of them?
No. Did you see I'm falling in love with you all?
Well, you said...
I said...
You said she was a Valley girl.
I said... Anyway, I'm falling in love with you. Not y'all. Y'all. That's the Southern thing. What do you... How does a Southern Valley girl speak? Anyways, I'm falling in love with y'all. So yeah, anyways...
Yeah, you just made all the typers get mad.
She's like... super sad about this breakup or this lack thereof of relationship, and she's also like not having a good birthday, and then she goes home and suddenly all of her childhood friends are there to celebrate her birthday.
Falling apart.
Well, the world is, because it's a disease that apparently happened in 2020. Everybody thought that the world was ending then. But anyways, yeah, she goes back there and they all celebrate her birthday party, makes her super happy, and then at some point later on, she bumps into Kizuki, one of the friends, which is the one that's the crybaby boy. And he really, out of nowhere, wants her to acknowledge him as a man. Oh. Will you ever see me as a man?
Well, he cries.
Well, I love you, so I want you to see me as a man. And he pegs her up against the shower wall.
It won't work
as its shower's going off
in front of her.
And then he kisses her. And then she can't stop thinking about the kiss. And eventually we start getting the other friends, which one of the other ones is in love with her too. And then I'm assuming over the episodes, every one of these dudes are going to suddenly be in love with her. And apparently it took until an illness spreads in 2020 before any of these dudes suddenly... maybe that's the illness. That's the plot twist. There's an illness spreading, Chris. I think there's a hentai about that.
Yes.
Is that why you face bumped? I think that's probably where I got that thought from. There's this disease that spreads in 2020 that suddenly makes all of your hot childhood friends suddenly get super hot and bothered for you.
Yes.
And then they all want to kiss you in a forceful way, and it makes you go, I can't stop thinking about them. Kiss me. Anyways, every now and then it kind of jumps to the future again, and it shows her current life, which she's having problems with this new employee and being mean to her or something like that and regretting it. And then jumps back to the past again. I don't know what they're doing with the whole future stuff. But anyways, I'm not caring about this show at all. Like, I wanted to go in this with a pretty open mind because I was hoping that the whole, like, future story and past story would kind of intervene somehow. They've shown one of the guys in the future... I'm just going to call it, no doubt whatsoever, Crybaby Boy that was the first one to get kind of, pushy on her about starting a relationship, and they're kind of looking like they might start a relationship. He's dead. They're dead. If she's single in the future, which it seems like she's single, and he's coming on that hard at her, and she's not with any of the other boys in the future, because it seems like she's single there, he's dead. I think that's what's probably going to be the story, is they're going to get closer and closer. the infection probably going to get to him. He's going to die, which, again, if this is the disease in 2020, I don't know how this really healthy boy would end up dying like that. I'm not going to get into that whole thing. We're going to leave that right there. That's as far as I'm going to go to that whole conversation. But I don't know that I'd want to stick around long enough to find that obvious twist there where he just suddenly croaks.
Right.
But so far, it's been mostly just he pushes himself on her, she gets all doki doki, and then every 2 seconds they look at each other while everybody else is around them. Like, it's literally they're all hanging out together, these 4 childhood friends, and it's just constantly Mizuho and Kizuki, and they're just kind of they're just shooting glances at each other every now and then, going like, "Oh, he actually kissed me back there." It's dumb. It's just not very interesting. But anyways, I'm falling in love with you. If you want to check that out. What else do we have? Farmagia. I'm not going to get too much into this one. Farmagia is, again, it's based on a video game that the artists for Fairy Tail made all the character designs. They look like a bunch of rip-off characters from Fairy Tail, basically in a new world. It's basically like it's like a Pokemon meets, I don't know, Animal Crossing. Like, it opens up with them like literally making crops, and apparently the crops are these Pokemon creature things that eventually they will blossom and it will create a monster, and then that monster they can then use in battle. I'm guessing in the farmland they're just using them and repurposing them to help them with growing more crops. And then eventually, like, this leader takes over all the islands and then starts attacking the islands, and so they have to go from island to island to take down the leaders until they can get to the big boss guy and take them down. I don't. It sucks. The show sucks. Like, again, if you have not watched Fairy Tail, just go watch Fairy Tail. Like, this is just to feel. It feels like a video game. Like, you're watching a very basic JRPG video game. So if you want a show with good story, just go watch Fairy Tail, because the humor is there as well. I don't think he's involved any other way except for the character designs, but it feels very Fairy Tail. Like, even the ecchi humor is very Fairy Tail. So they have, like, there's literally every single one. There's a Juvia, there's a Natsu, yes, for sure.
Did you find a Gajil?
No.
Is there a gray?
I have not seen a Gajil yet. There is a gray. And then there's my girl. Who's my girl?
Urza?
Urza, yeah. There's definitely an Urza. But she likes to just tie up people, and they really like it when she does that. Mm-hmm. It's dumb.
Is there man?
No, they're not yet. It's one of those eventuality things. Like, I'm assuming if you keep watching, you're going to run into every single one of them.
Is Happy in there?
No. I don't. No.
Wendy?
No? Or was there? No, I don't think so yet. Apothecary Diaries. That's another show that we can talk about. Have you been keeping up on Apothecary Diaries? You getting behind on that one? Yeah? It's like, you think I'm going to miss out on Maomao? You think I'm going to miss out on my Maomao weekly? Where is my... I should have searched it. There you go. I thought it was closer than that. Yeah, we're on the second season of Apothecary Diaries. So far this season, we have an envoy coming from a very far-off place, and yeah, a massive question mark as to if there's some sort of...
Mirrors, everywhere mirrors.
If there's a plot to harm some of the other concubines. I think the thing that I'm kind of building up on a theory right now is this idea of somebody taking advantage of the envoy, or possibly just the envoy themselves kind of working out a plot to take out the other concubines so they can bring in their beautiful women for the emperor to take on. For those who don't know, it's basically about this entire series about this this apothecary who was trained by her father. At some point, she gets kidnapped and she gets sold off to the rear palace, where she is to take care of the concubines back there. There's like these 4 major concubines, high concubines, whereas you have the other concubines as well. But there's 4 major ones, and she's kind of gets stuck in like different mysteries and whatnot because she has this desire to look into mysteries. And there's all these plots that are constantly happening, whether it's to take out one of the concubines so they get more attention from the emperor. If one concubine is having a child, obviously another one's going to want to make sure it's not, if it's a boy, they want to take it out. Otherwise, they become the emperor's main girl, basically. So there's a lot of cutthroat stuff happening in the River Palace. And then, of course, there's other things like, yes, people going directly for the emperor himself. And she's kind of solving different mysteries. But yeah, like I said, this season's been mostly focused on the envoy that's coming from another nation, and again, some possibilities of people trying to harm some of the concubines, especially Gokyo, because she's currently pregnant again, which could be possibly a boy. And so Maomao's kind of getting stuck in more mysteries. So what are you thinking on the season so far? Is Shisui super sus to you? She's super cute, but Shisui's super sus. I'm sorry. If you got a cute girl like Shisui, she's gonna be super sus.
She's probably.
I'm still keeping an eye on Zolan. I know that she's your favorite because of Tama voice, but she's gonna be behind it all.
You think so?
I was watching Psyculturist too.
I would go more.
I was watching Psyculturist stream on this, and I'm like, you all gotta remember that Zolan is the most sus girl in the entire show. Every plot is probably being done by her because she's the cutest.
I would go. No, Tama is never wrong. I would go with isn't one of there's the new concubine.
Lolan.
Is it Lolan?
Lolan's the newest one.
And she's a rich girl, and she's used to that probably Game of Thrones type.
Oh, she's not I mean, they're all, well, except for Gyokyo, they're all rich families. Lolan's especially is because her father was the retainer of the previous emperor and is close to the current emperor, so that's why she kind of got in there.
But she's probably used to the making a web, and I would assume that Shisui, since she's kind of randomly appeared out of nowhere, maybe she's somebody that.
It does seem like Shisui showed up shortly after Lolan, because Lolan showed up. Well, no, Lolan showed up
at the end of
after Odo left, which was like 13 episodes into the first season. So I guess Lolan's been around for at least half a core. But yeah, Shisui just showed up at the beginning of this season. I don't know.
I mean, to me, it seems like she's probably trying to fill out Maomao, because it seems like there's a lot of things that are happening around her. So it would be in her best interest to kind of keep an eye on it. So to me, it just seems like it would make sense that she would be kind of filling her out.
There's only so much I can boast that up to get you.
To me, it just seems like it would make sense that she would be filling Maomao out, as she is the new toy that seems to be getting a lot of attention.
I would be curious if Shisui would possibly be somebody that Lolan got to look after Maomao, or chase after Maomao.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, technically, towards the end of the second core is when we had the moment where Maomao actually interacted with Lolan, and that was to do the whole, like, yeah, here's these books, and we're all going to teach you how to make the emperor happy. And so she brought in the love-making the books and started giving them all lessons, and Lolan kind of looked like she was kind of going, who's this Maomao lady? I kind of want to know more about her. And so I could totally see her, bringing because she has a ton of lady-in-waitings. Like, that's what they kind of point out with this season. It's like, this Lolan girl shows up, and she just literally has, like I forget exactly how many they say, like 30 lady-in-waitings. Like, they're, yeah, to your point earlier, pretty expensive. Whereas, like, Gyokyo has 5 or something like that. Leishu has, like, 8. Like, this girl's got, like, a stack. And so, yeah, I could see one of those being Shisui. I mean, she's got a ton of them. And yeah, she could have told one of them. But it's not like we've had a moment where Shisui, like, goes out her way to go confront Maomao. It was because the whole cat thing. Well, she could have done that in order to get his attention. Get Maomao's attention. Or it could just be, yeah. It seems like in most cases, Maomao kind of confronts her. So, I don't know. It could be. But it's never that Shisui's, like, pressing her for information either. But she could be always observing her from afar.
Yeah.
Anyways, I like this bit so far. I've always enjoyed Apothecary Diaries. It's always got The mysteries aren't always like super fantastic. What's always kind of, and this is kind of an issue that I think a lot of people have with the first season. I don't think this series is like a mystery show. There is like interweaving stories that I do appreciate how they all come together. Like even though one story might be very simple, the way that it kind of interweaves the other ones is always interesting. I just always like the characters. Like they've always had some really solid characters. Like Lakan from the first season, Li Hua in the first season was fantastic. I always loved Gokyo's character. They just got a good set of characters that whenever they finally start kind of getting more and more into them, they've always been like super fascinating. It's definitely a series that for me, I just absolutely love covering on a weekly basis. Like I said before, there was only one bit in the entire series that I've never liked, and that was like in that second core. Like there was like 3 or 4 episodes before they got into Lakan where I'm like, do something. Like there was a brief time where it's like they were building up to Lakan's thing. And
they
so it was
even
like
brought back the Moon Princess or Moon Dancer this season.
Yeah, the Moon Goddess thing was. Did they bring that up in the first season?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I was.
It was a returning character.
It was a returning character. Ha
ha. Funny, Chris. Madame was great, dude.
Yeah, right.
She's like, they did all the crap to me. Guess what? I ran with it and I nailed it. You go, girl. There was like this little frustration that I had of the whole thing. It's like just send Madame to go talk to him. Like, what's the big deal here? Oh, okay, it's this like blown up story thing. That was great. The whole Moon Goddess thing was pretty great. Anytime they can make fun of Jinshi at the anytime they can have a funny moment at the expense of Jinshi is always great.
Anytime that they can go, you're too pretty.
You're very pretty, and it's not like you have anything down there. There's like it seems like there's more eunuch jokes this season than before. Like it feels like every episode she makes some passing comment about his junk. Man, if I could figure out a way to make him grow back, I bet I could make a fortune. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yes. Can you stop saying things like that in front of him out loud? Oh man, what do we have in here to eat? Yeah, probably shouldn't serve Jinshi sausages. I guess I'll leave that in the cabinet. God, girl, stop. I think she just gets a kick out of it. She just loves that joke. Maomao is a dork. I think that's one thing to really note here is that the show, besides like character writing, it's Maomao. Maomao is just a really fantastic character. Plus, Aoyuki. Aoyuki sells her character. She doesn't get to do her super twisted stuff much. She does her goofy, like silly attitude very well though. Mm. That's where you definitely hear Aoyuki. But very very subtle Aoyuki compared to most. Of course, we're always looking for like the crazy Aoyuki.
Yeah.
We like the crazy Aoyuki. Anything else on that one?
It's great. You can watch it if you haven't.
You watched Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf?
Yes.
Of course.
I don't know if I'm behind on it or not. I think I'm up to date.
I don't even remember where I'm at. I think the last one I watched, they
rescued the cat girl.
I don't think I got a cat girl.
Okay, then I'm farther than you.
I don't think I had a cat girl. I think the last one I watched...
Or a cat boy. I'm sorry. He's a cat boy.
They just were about to go back there. That's where I was at. Because I remember the introduction where he shot something at him, or summoned something, and then they went back to the mainland. Anyways, Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf opens up with a guy named it's Zero G is working on it. It's 12 episodes on Crunchyroll. Nihon I Yokoso Elf-san is the Japanese title, based on a light novel. This one opens up with a guy named Kazuhiro, who at some point when he was younger, he realized that whenever he would go to sleep, he would wake up in his dream state. He would always be in this fantasy world, and he'd go around doing stuff in that other world. At some point, he realized that whenever he like set food next to his bed when he went to bed, he would wake up with that food in the other world. And so he would always like make himself some food, and then he'd go in this other world in his dreams and do stuff. At some point, he met this girl, this elf girl, and he started hanging out with her every now and then. He would like offer her some of the food that he made in the other world, and she would really enjoy it. At some point, they're adventuring into this
dungeon where they end up running into this massive dragon, and the dragon shoots his breath at him, and in a panic, they're like embracing each other, and then he wakes up from his dream, and she's laying in the bed next to him. This kind of makes this connection to him that, oh yeah, this is another world that I'm going to in my dreams, and yeah, now she's in my world, so I'm assuming that when we go back to bed, she's gonna go back to her world, so they have to kind of like sleep next to each other in order to go back to the other world, and so it kind of turns this whole thing where, you know, I almost say whenever they go to bed, whenever they'll go to sleep from the other world and appear into Japan, at which point he will show her the world of Japan, all the niceties of Japan and the culture of Japan, and meet people in Japan. And then they will go and kind of strategize sometimes before they go to bed, and he'll cook some food, and they'll go to bed together. And then boom, they'll wake up in the fantasy world where they'll go tackle a dungeon or something like that. And it kind of does a back and forth thing between the two worlds. So that's basically the gist of the series so far. So what's your thoughts?
This one is kind of goofy and fun. I like the giving Elf-san some a bunch of kind of wow moments as she's introducing herself to the real world. So it's kind of, I mean, honestly, the best moment of this entire show, honestly, was her getting into a freaking car.
Oh, I thought it was the earthquake.
That was kind of good too. But it didn't beat the car. The car was great. But that doesn't make the rest of the show it's just not as funny as those couple moments. It is fun.
It is definitely not a funny show. Like I think for the most part, it's mostly just been like, I don't want to say yashike, but it's just kind of like a feel good show. Like it's a warm show.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of just hanging out, doing fun things together. Every now and then get a little ecchi moment, and just kind of just hanging out and having fun kind of thing.
Yeah, and it does fine at that. It's, I mean, hopefully it'll pick up something, but it doesn't have to. It just do what it does and enjoy it. I haven't found anything that's particularly bothered me. I enjoy the characters, and I just want to see them do their thing.
Yeah, I think that's where I kind of sit, where I'm kind of debating if this might be a drop for me, just because I got too much stuff to kind of cover at the moment, and I think I just don't really find myself like, oh, another episode's up, I gotta go watch this like right now. It's like it's just one of those shows where if I get around to it, I'm gonna get around to it. Just because I think it's not a bad show in any respect, but it's also one of those shows where I don't think it does enough to kind of really grab me. I do like Kazuhiro and Meri's sort of chemistry between the two of them, because it's again not like they're kind of pushing back and forth. There's a couple moments in there that are very kind of sweet, but I don't really kind of find there to be like some sort of advancement in their character or like some deep plot lines that are kind of going on. It's just kind of, again, very much so her exploring our world and then them together exploring the other world. Then they explore our world, and it's just really kind of going through each one of them. It seems like very quickly they kind of shed the idea of her being shocked by anything. Like he comes out with a flashlight and she's like, I'm not really shocked anymore. I'm like, well, I guess we're done with that whole thing. We're just going to kind of accept everything now. But then you'll have like a little sweet moment where, you know, he shows her about, you know, movies, animation and whatnot. And they get a little bit of insight into some story and whatnot. Talking about like rural areas and wanting to go kind of show her her hometown where it's more rural or whatever. There's kind of some sweet moments there here and there. And I think there was like a side of me that almost wants to keep watching it just because I kind of like the sweet interaction between the two of them and exploring things together. But again, like I said before, it's not enough that I find myself really drawn to watch it. And that's kind of the problem. Did Windra ever come back? Like they left her at the dungeon, and like I don't think they ever wanted to go meet the dragon ever again.
Like no, they haven't. As far as I'm at, they haven't gone back. So
that's crazy.
And I'm only an episode, maybe two ahead of you. So
Like, yeah, they had like the first like fight with her, and like it turns into this whole thing of like, well, give me the food. Here's the food. All right, take all these really overpriced scales and stuff that you could sell for a fortune. All right, come back with some more food. Peace out. Never come back here again. Never coming back here again. He's like, oh, there's a story that we could tell our kids, and that's holy freaking freaks her out.
Not unless she's at the bottom of the new dungeon that they found.
That was way out there. I don't know how she would be there, because like he literally used his teleportation ability, which is like some crazy like subway system of portals, and it just shoots him out somewhere else in this desert way out in the middle of nowhere. Ain't no way she's over there. I don't know. It's like she was kind of funny too. I kind of liked her, but then again, they talked to her for 5 minutes and never seen her again. Don't want him to get in the way of the elf in him. This is Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf. I was kind of expecting them to take the dragon over there to Japan.
And it's gotta be and the cat boy.
Gotta be an eventuality.
Or cat girl. I don't know.
Is it a cat boy or a cat girl? I don't know. I didn't see her for like 2 seconds.
They kind of imply that it's a boy, but I don't know.
Being mean to him. Poor animal thing. Just call it animal thing.
Well, I figured they could probably get away with bringing the cat boy to Japan by making him into an actual cat on the Japan side.
True, but I mean they're just covering up her ears, so why not? The key art spoils the dragon's gonna be in Japan, so an eventuality it's gotta be there. Miwi? It's Miwi? That looks like a boy. He got like a boy shirt on. Look at that boy shirt. That's a boy shirt. It's gotta be a boy. That's my first baby, I'm guessing, eventually.
Well, she's absolutely in love with him, so.
Oh yeah. Mary definitely got a thing for him. He's super oblivious, so that's gonna. I mean, when she ran out butt naked after the earthquake, he responded to it, so he knows what a girl is. I do like the library lady. The library lady, what the hell was that conversation? Can we talk about the conversation with the library lady? Like, it obviously implied that Kazuhiro has met the library lady at some point. Yes. Like, they're like, hey, long time no see. I don't remember what they implied. It was like they were from school or something like that together or something like that. They knew each other from a long time ago. And, like, he walks up there with Mary and he's like, yeah, this is this is a distant relative or something like that visiting in Japan. She's not really good at Japanese or whatever. And then, like, she's, like, hiding behind Kazuhiro. And then out of nowhere, this librarian lady's like, oh, are you making passes at her? Oh, have you done it? Have you gone all the way? And I'm like, what the hell? This girl has no barriers. What? Why would you bring this up randomly out of... Okay, again, it implies that he's not, like, super close to this lady. And they're in a public space, and she's vocally yelling out, oh, you've gone all the way with her? I'm like, girl, like, do you just bring this up with any person that you talk to? Like, you're very comfortable with him, willing to say that out publicly out loud? Like, damn, lady, like, put some filters on. Like, you don't need to be asking personal stuff like this out of nowhere for somebody you barely know. It was weird. It was a very weird conversation. I guess anything to kind of make the conversation go that way. I mean, his response to it was good. But yeah, when she's like, what was her name? I forget what I was called. What was her name? I forgot to grab the names when I brought it up. Karoko? Or was it Ichi that she said? I think she said Karoko. She's like, he asks her how to say her name or something like that. And Karoko, the library lady, she's like, Mary Chan, and she's like, well, why did she call me Chan? He's like, oh, well, that's just a way of kind of saying something like calling out to somebody their name in a cute way. It means that she thinks you're cute or whatever. And so Mary just turns around and she's like, Kuroko-chan? Because she's like trying to think of how would I address her. Well, she's really cute, so I'm going to call her Chan too. And freaking Kuroko just freaks out because it was so freaking cute how she said that. Like, Kuroko-chan? Because Elf like barely knows any Japanese, so it just sounded really cute the way that she said it. It was one of those, again, very rare funny moments in the series, so... It has its moments, but like I said, I'm mostly in the realms of this being probably a show I won't continue, but at the same time, I think it's a fine show. Like it's a show that I don't really have faults in. It's just a show I'm not super excited to check out. So, anything else on Alpha-san?
No, I think it's doing fine.
Alpha-san. Babanbabanban Vampire. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one. Babanbabanban Vampire. Babanbabanban Vampire. That's how you say it. Yeah, this one is being done by Gaina. It's based on a manga, comedy, romance, supernatural. It opens with this guy who is a vampire, and at some point when he was like near death, he was walking by this this bathhouse, and he collapses, and this little boy walks up. He's like 5 years old. This little boy walks up and is like, "Oh, what's going on with you?" And he like runs away, and then he comes back and says, "You can go hide over here," and kind of helps the vampire find this like shed or something to kind of hide away until he recovers. And ever since then, this vampire has been dead set on and in love with this boy, hoping to one day wait patiently for the prime time to suck his blood, which is 18 years old. So it cuts forward, and now the boy is 15 years old, I believe. So he's got 3 more years. He's waiting, living with this boy and his family for this whole time, and he's got 3 more years to wait for this boy to reach the ripe age of 18 when he can suck his virgin blood. And that's the big key thing there. Virgin. And now suddenly 15 years old, this boy is now, he's got a crush, and he thinks the girl might be in love with him too. And so now the vampire's freaking out because his precious virgin boy is going to lose his virginity. And so he's got to do everything he can possibly to stop this boy from getting that loving. And so he goes over to try to scare the lady. Like, he figures out who the girl is that he thinks that this boy is in love with. Goes find the girl and like goes outside of her window, and then tells her, or tries to find out from her if she's in love. And she's like, "What? In love with who?" And he's like, "You know who?" And he's like, "No, I don't think I'm in love with anybody. Who are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, you talking about Rihito, whatever his name is. I bumped into him this morning. He's okay, but I'm not in love with him." It's like one of those things, like from the boys' perspective, it's that whole like romantic, he was running down the street with the bread in his mouth and he bumps into her at the corner, and then it's like doki doki moment. She even gave me her handkerchief because I injured myself or whatever. It's like, she's, oh, him? No, I'm not in love with him. I mean, I just bumped into him. It's not like it's a big romance thing. Now, the funny thing is that he's like, the vampire's like, you have to be in love with him. It's him. He's like the perfect boy. And he's like, you should seek out your love or something like that. Declares some like love and romance thing to her. And suddenly she gets doki doki for the vampire. So again, boy, 15 years old. If he reaches 18, he's going to drink his blood, but he wants it virgin blood. At the same time, the vampire is madly in love with this boy. I think he's like the perfect boy ever. He thinks the boy might be in love with this girl, so he goes over to stop the girl, but then ends up making the girl fall in love with him. So now she's in love with the vampire, while the vampire is trying to keep the boy a virgin, while the boy is in love with the girl. It's a stupid show. Stupid concept. It's
best love triangle ever.
I want to like it. It's kind of bonkers in a lot of regards. But at the same time, a lot of the show is just not for me. One key thing being, it has a obsession with boner humor. This vampire tints a lot. Every time he thinks of this boy, he got a big O tint. And sometimes he thinks about this boy so passionately, that tint will come up to his heart and shoot out his chest. That's how much of a tint this vampire has. It's a lot of body humor and tint humor around this vampire. And it was funny the first time, but not the 15th time. And so I got... it was like... and the first time it happens, I'm like, wow, okay, that was crazy. And then the second time is like, you did it again. You're doing it again. Yep, again. Okay, you've done it enough. Okay, not for me. Like there's a point in which it becomes kind of a little bit too uncomfortable for me. It's just not my humor, but it's a goofy show. It's got a lot of thirst in it, but it's just it ain't my thirst. It ain't my thirst. I'm good. I thought it was gonna be like some weird like Michael Jackson vampire crazy show. They joked about he dances like Michael Jackson in the first episode, and it's never again. After that, it's just mostly kind of a very wacky rom-com triangle thing. So if that's interesting to you, definitely check it out. But I think I'm good. I think I've gotten a good enough taste. I'm good. I've had enough tense for one season. I'll just move on. I may be a guild receptionist. My name is Ria Takahashi, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. Are you watching Ria Takahashi, the guild mistress?
Oh, really?
Guild receptionist.
Really?
Best new girl this season.
Did you have a question whether or not I'd watch it?
I don't want to find replace. I just wanted to find it.
You did have it.
I know that I went to go close it and I messed it up. Stop touching it, Andrew. Don't touch it anymore. I may be a good receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time, or guild no ukitsu sutse kijo desu ka zango wa iya nanode boss wo solo tobetsu shio to oimoimasu. This was streaming on Crunchyroll for 12 episodes, done by Cloverworks, based on a light novel, action, adventure, comedy, fantasy. And this one opens up with Alina Clover, who, when she was younger, she decided that she wanted to become a guild receptionist so she can have a nice, stable job, be able to clock out on time, go home, have a nice house because she has a stable job with a stable income and everything. And yes, there's still the struggles that come with being a receptionist. You know, you get nasty adventurers, being grumpy or whatever. But the problem that she ends up running to at some point, even though she gets this job and she's enjoying it, is that, yeah, whenever the adventurers, you know, get stuck in a dungeon or they can't beat a boss, she gets stuck with overtime dealing with all the paperwork. And so she gets really upset about that. We get a little history at some point that at some point they were having this festival and she couldn't go to the festival because she was working overtime. And then finally when she got to the festival, it was over. And apparently during this festival, there's like this legend that the person that prays the most could end up getting a blessing from the gods. And she ends up getting blessed with a Dia skill, which is like this skill of ancient times, like really powerful skills of ancient times that have been lost with time. And it grants her the like superhuman strength and this massive hammer. And so her wish that she was praying was like literally, I'm tired of overtime. Can I please make overtime go away? And so it almost feels like the gods blessed her with a skill so that she'd be able to go down the dungeon, well, she does this, go down the dungeon, kill the boss so that she can clock out on time, hence the title. So she's been doing this. In Secret Sea, she will go down to the dungeon, take out the boss so that she can clock out on time. But unfortunately, she ends up getting caught by like this guy who's like part of one of the best groups in the entire guild.
Silver Sword.
Jade Scrade. Yeah, the silver sword or whatever. But anyways, he spots her taking down the boss. And then later on, as he's walking around town thinking, I got to find this girl because I want her to join my group. He ends up spotting Alina in the crowd and goes, holy crap, that's her. Follows her back to the guild reception and says, hey, I need to talk to you. And she's like, oh crap, why did he see me? And sure enough, they go in this back alleyway and he's like, I seen you in that dungeon. You're the executioner. They call this lady the executioner.
No, that is not how that conversation went. It was like, hey, I seen you.
Yeah, someone's a massive hammer. No, you didn't. You're gonna forget that you ever see me, or I'm going to take you. You know how powerful I am. I one shot that boss. I'll do that to you too. He's like, but you have this incredibly powerful skill. Why wouldn't you want to join our group? And I don't want to sleep out in the middle of nowhere and go to these stupid dungeons. I want to clock out and go home. But yeah, he keeps pursuing. He doesn't want to give up. She constantly threatens him. Mayhem happens in the town. She saves the town from this mayhem. Well, she doesn't save the town from the mayhem. The mayhem destroys her house. She gets ticked off and attacks the monster. the the guild leader guy has an ability to kind of see in the past of an area, and he spots that Alina was the one that saved the town, ends up trying to force her to join the guild, yada yada yada. And it kind of turns this whole thing where eventually she kind of gets roped into having to go into dungeons with Jade and his group to tackle this new dungeon, which has like this ancient god of like the ancient times and stuff. So anyways, your thoughts on I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll soul any boss to clock out on time.
I love it. It is absolutely delivered on every respect of what I've kind of wanted in this show. The only thing that I kind of am disappointed on is not having the actual adventurers interacting with her in the guild. I do kind of love the idea of her being just, because she plays the I'm frustrated, I want this over with, I want this done, I want to go home, leave me alone, I don't want to do this. She nails that to a T. That part of the story is absolutely fantastic. The adventure is fun. The Dia skills, I guess that can be, or the Dia versus the Sigurth skills. Hopefully that'll pan out to something interesting later on. But for now, Elena is absolutely a joy to watch, and I love that aspect. Am getting a kick out of the whole Silver Sword story that is kind of pulling together. Hopefully that'll pan out to something interesting. But yeah, love it.
It's Ria Takahashi. This show is literally Ria Takahashi. Like without Ria Takahashi, do you think the show would be as entertaining as it is?
Could have been it could have been Aoyuki and pulled it off. Heck yeah.
No.
Having her go
that is not
in crazy mode.
That is not a Yaoyuki character. I mean, I there's a side of me that almost honestly thinks that all the budget was put onto Ria Takahashi, because obviously Ria Takahashi is a very prominent seiyuu. Like if you slap her name on something, it sells. I honestly feel like a lot of the budget was kind of put in there. There may be planning issues or something like that, because the show's not like Cloverworks quality. That's kind of my only. If you were to drag one issue out of me, it's that it's not to the caliber that you typically get from Cloverworks. This is like a really good studio. This is, I'm guessing, as a B team. But that aside, like putting that aside, there's a couple of good shots of animation and whatnot in the show itself. The OP's gorgeous as hell. The ED's fun as hell. But the show overall is like it's decent quality, which is kind of a shocker to Cloverworks. But now that that's out of the way, what makes this show is Alina, and what makes Alina is Ria Takahashi. If you're a fan of Mega Man, if you're a fan of anything else Ria Takahashi and her voice work that she's ever done, watch this show, because she comes across with Alina's character so wonderfully. Like, she is so much fun. I agree with Chris on the idea that my initial draw to the show was, again, I love guild receptionist characters, and to get a show about a guild receptionist character was like, yes, please sign me up, because I always love my guild receptionist characters, but we don't get to see them much. But yeah, I will admit, and I'm right with Chris on this, there's a side of me that almost, like, the moment that she starts getting pulled into the whole situation with Jade and going to the new tower, it's like, it's no longer, like, it moves so quickly to her secret getting out there to individuals that want to exploit her and use her, that it so quickly turns into, let's get her away from the guild reception. Like, the title is, I may be a guild receptionist, but I'll solo a boss to clock out on time. And it's so quickly turning into, you're no longer a guild receptionist, you're an adventurer. Like, this is your thing, and you're gonna go do this instead. You're just gonna become another adventure show. Like, you got to get back to this. Now, I will admit that, yeah, it's only so far you can go with the receptionist thing before you're gonna start getting kind of too much of the same. But I think it was doing very well early on. Like, it was just kind of mostly, yeah, some dude comes in, he's being obnoxious, and she's like, it's always like this cute thing where you have cute Alina's face kind of smiling to the guy like, we can't really do anything like that, or you have to follow protocol. Then it would cut into like this inner self, and she's like, oh my gosh, I want to strangle you so bad right now. You're holding up the damn line. I need to clock out here soon or whatever. Like, she's just in her mind, she's just screaming about how annoying this person is. And then she's got the front face and it's all nice and calm and polite. That stuff's fantastic. I do like a lot of the comedy that was around her, like trying to keep her identity a secret, like Jade showing up constantly like when she was out, she's out on this bench just eating her lunch, taking her lunch break. And then suddenly Jade comes strolling up, gonna go talk to her and ask her to join this party again. And literally she just puts her food down, summons the big hammer. Like, she's immediately on aggro mode the moment she spots him. And he's like, whoa, chill, put down the hammer. And she's like, no, I know what you're here for. Yeah, just her constantly threatening him and telling him to get lost. It was a lot of fun, but again, when it started getting into like the whole tower and going down there and Jade fighting them and then her having to show up later on, it was like, please don't do this. Like, I don't need this stuff. I don't care about this ancient technology and this apparently some weird old gods, and they were like, obviously probably took out the old civilizations that were getting too advanced or something like that with Dia skills or some crap. Get back to over here. Get back to her kind of just chilling and trying to be a guild receptionist and having to kind of handle things every now and then. That's where you're good. The show is Alina Clover trying to have a normal life. It's her, getting super ticked off because she just finished her freaking mortgage and she wants to have her nice house, and now suddenly there's a massive rock in it. She's ticked off. That stuff's fun, not dungeon diving with Jade and ancient technologies. So yeah, I'm kind of in this realm where like I love Alina's character so freaking much. She's a phenomenal character. She's super cute. She's easily going down as, again, best girl of new shows anyways. But at the same time, I'm kind of a little afraid of the show getting a little bit too lost in trying to be something else. Like, you're doing good here. You got the sauce right here. Don't spread it too thin. Don't try to add. Don't put the ketchup on there. Your sauce is good. Put the mustard down. You don't need this other stuff. Just stick with your sauce. That's kind of where I'm at with it. Right? So, agree, disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of going that direction. It's like, I don't really want this stuff right here. I mean, the Dia stuff is kind of enough to kind of give it a little bit of flavor there. Like, she's got this ancient skill, and everybody's like, holy crap, you got a Dia. That was blessings only given to the old ancient people or whatever.
Well, going with what you're saying, I mean, you've got it here, adding a little bit there, a little bit of salt.
Stop. It's enough.
You don't have to go crazy. I mean, it's fine that it's there. I mean, it kind of gives your other characters a little bit of flavor. The Sigurd, okay, understanding that and why she's so special. She has a Dia skill. Okay, fine. You don't have to bring an ancient Dia god out of nowhere that can absorb all the Sigurd's spells. Yeah, I mean,
still in souls and stuff. Except for that one dude, because he was a jerk.
He was a jerk.
That one dude. That guy can go. He's good. He's good at dead. I can get rid of him. I left my A rank party to help my former students, which is Roxy, Sylphie, and Edis. Did you get to watch the not Mushoku Tensei show?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's the Receptionist. I don't want the Receptionist again. I was going to search for Roxy, but I didn't go that far with my outline that I want to put Roxy in the names. The joke is there, but it's not that much. This one is, I left my A rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths, or A rank party wo ridai shita ore wa moto oshigoto gotachi to mekkyo shinbu wo mezasu. Somebody point out to me, technically this is running on Crunchyroll. It's going to be on for 24 episodes. This will be the only show. I think this is like the only show that's a 2-core, which is kind of surprising of all the shows that are on this season to go 2-core. But that does technically point out the fact that, yes, Tabat's next season too, which is the one that everybody claims is like a Mushoku Tensei ripoff. And we also have that other show. I forget what the name of it is, but it literally looks. This guy, the main character, looks like Paul reincarnated into another fantasy world, and he's got like Sylvie, Roxy, and everybody around. And it's like we're gonna have three Mushoku Tensei clones in the same season. It's like, you're right. Oh my gosh, dude. The inspirations of other properties is getting very congested in the one season. Anyways, this series is done by Bandai Namco Pictures, based on a light novel. Genres are action, adventure, comedy, fantasy. This one opens up with UK. Is it Yuke? I think it says Yuke, right? Or is it UK? I forget how they said his name.
It would be UK.
I forget if they said UK. Anyways, is UK, and he is a red mage / alchemist, and he is a part of this one party. This is in a setting where it's a fantasy world where people go down dungeons, and they even have like live streaming technology, so people like live stream their dungeon divings, and people like to watch it and bet on stuff and everything. He's part of this one, like the title leads you to believe, A-rank party, and they're like being super mean to him, even though he like literally gathers potions and all these resources for them every single dungeon run, and they rely on him like constantly. They don't realize how useful he is, and so they eventually like get sick of him complaining about the fact that he's not getting paid enough, because they think that he's not adding enough to the party. Eventually he's like, that's it, I'm leaving. And they're all like, yeah, you were useless. And of course later on they'll find out that he was actually very useful. But yeah, don't care about that whole storyline. He ends up going off and looking for another party. He ends up bumping into Marina, which is, again, the title leads you to believe, a former student of his. And she's like, oh, you're looking for a party? Why don't you join our party? And yeah, sure enough, she brings him back to like their now formed party, which is like a bunch of his former students, which is Rain, which is not Roxy, Silk, who's not Sylphie, and of course Marina is not Edis. So his former students who all have a party end up bringing him in. They start doing dungeon diving together. The entire time he keeps bringing out different artifacts and showing Sugoi amazing abilities, and they constantly go, Sugoi, you're so amazing. You get your Sugoi, you have an artifact, Sugoi. Oh, you do your own crafting of your own materials, that's Sugoi. And then he one-shots solos a boss, and they go, Sugoi. And then they live broadcast him one-shotting the boss, and everybody goes, Sugoi. And then they do a quest together where they end up running into an incredibly powerful monster, and he beats it, and they go, Sugoi. So what's your thoughts on the show? Is it Sugoi? Is it Sugoi?
It's fine. I don't... If I'm being honest, there's a lot of things that kind of irk me about this show. I don't find much of anything interesting in it to kind of keep me going. And then you've got this live stream thing that kind of is not really adding anything to the story. Like Andrew was saying, everybody thinks he's amazing. Okay, that's fine. I don't mind I mean, I've gone through like 4 or 5 that I'm sure everybody's like, why did you like that one but not this one? I don't know. I don't much care for the there's not anything in this one that's making me go, I'm interested in this. It's just, I mean,
I do have to admit, despite making a joke, the only resemblance to Edis, Sylphie, and Roxy is literally their hair color and their race. Because Rain's like, she has the whole blue hair braid thing going on. And yes, she apparently is the eldest out of all of them, even though she's really small. But like, yes, Marina does have a sword. She's a sword fighter, but she's super ganky. Like, she's not an Edis character. Like, her personality is not Edis. Silk is like, was an archer character, right?
Yeah.
She's not Sylphie. She's just an elf with silver long hair. Like, it's just basically appearance only. That's as far as the joke. I think Rain is probably the closest to actual Roxy that there is out of the entire group of 3, but I just want to clarify that before I forget. But it obviously, there's an obvious reason why the characters look the way they do. Seems like there's a little bit of inspiration there. I don't know. I'm with you just to kind of carry off of your saying there. I like I was alluding to with my synopsis run through of it. It's a Sugoi show. It's one of those types of shows, and I personally don't care unless there's something in there for me to have. I hate Sugoi shows. Sugoi shows are literally he does something, the character goes Sugoi. They do something, characters go Sugoi. It's just there's like this group that's constantly going, oh wow, oh wow, look what the main character did. Oh wow, the main character did that. You could do that. I just don't care. And so it kind of turns into this whole thing where he constantly goes, oh, it's too dark in here. Well, let me bring this out. Wow, you have one of those? Yeah, and guess what? I can light it. Wow, you have feel for it? Yeah, I make my own. Wow, you can make it's that whole thing. It's like, stop showing that he could do something or has something, and they go, that's so amazing. Do something with them. That's kind of where it started running. And then you have the whole thing where it's like, oh, now let's show the old party, and the old party's like, oh no, well, he was actually useful. Roll my eyes, dude. Please. Please. Can we have one case where the main character leaves the evil party and they don't ever show them again? I swear it's gonna happen eventually. I watch enough shows every year. Eventually I'm gonna finally have one show where it's gonna be episode 12 and I'm gonna go, oh wait, they never showed that party ever again. Oh my gosh, I need to tweet the writer or find somebody to tell these guys thank you. You don't have to have it a plot point that they are so miserable after the main character leaves.
It's to show the difference, the hyper difference between the party that did accept him and honored him and the team that didn't honor him.
What's so great is I don't even need to see that, and I get it. I get it. He's so useful. Because the difference is I'm watching the main character as they're doing their work in this other party, and so I seen what he did, where everybody else is just assholes and they're not going to get it and they're looking the other direction. That's all I need. I find the girls fine. Like I haven't really gotten too much out of Silk so far. Marina's just kind of cute, Genki. Rain is all right. Even though she's got the whole Roxy thing going for me, it's going to have a little bit of pre-established love there. They're fine girls, and I just wish there was more to them besides
he didn't notice
how well they praise him.
He didn't notice her ribbon. He was wrong for at least 3 minutes.
He's in general wrong. Dude's using his power dynamic to take advantage of his students. That's just wrong, dude.
Obviously.
He's using his power dynamic to take advantage of his students. I mean, I don't blame the guy. If you have these cute girls, your former students, hell yeah, I would join their party. Like, screw money. Like, he has to spend all night recuperating all of his resources because he's got to make sure that he looks cool the next day. I give the guy creds for his game here. He's got some good game here. There's like in general, like the characters aren't bad. Like what they're doing with the story, not bad. It's like one of those ones where it's like I don't see a value, and it's like, why is this show 24 episodes? That's the only real question I have. Is this gonna get somewhere in 24 episodes? Or are we just gonna do this game for forever? Like I got as far as them going out again on that one quest and running to that mob that was like super powerful.
The
like,
shadow
did it
one?
do anything after that was interesting whatsoever?
The shadow one?
Yeah. Like a big monster, and he's like, you guys run. And like, no, we're not running. We're going to fight with you.
No, you mean the weird horse thing?
Yeah, it was out next to the river or something like that.
Okay,
it was like a quest to kill something.
He went back to the guild, and of course the guild master took the time to talk to him because he's Sugoi, and we needed to find out from him what was important. And then they went on a special request quest, and he went to another dungeon, and they were doing the dungeon there, and a mob that hadn't been seen in like 60 years randomly showed up. It looked like a shadow stalker thing, and of course he has to talk to the guild master because he has to tell him important things about it because he's Sugoi. And that was about it so far that I've seen.
Exhilarating. Yeah, I think I'm good.
You're gonna let it go?
I think I think
I mean, I don't mind. Like I said, I don't mind these kinds of shows. It's just as it stands right now, it's not really doing much for me, and I'm actually really kind of dumbfounded that it's not really working. I mean, maybe they're just not focusing on the girls enough. I mean, I don't know. Outside of that, there's something in this show feels missing. It's
well, that's the thing. Is like it's like you had a good setup. Like, yeah, I'm saying with you, I could care less about the live streaming thing. It literally just feels like it's there just to have more people say Sugoi. But like it's a good setup in the idea that he's a red mage alchemist, which is like, how many main characters are red mage alchemists? Is very much so more debuff focused attacker. Like, he's all about like just adding status effects to his target, gravity and whatnot. It's like it's a cool, unique character. Like, he is a very unique character. I think the thing that I'm missing the most is like, yeah, you got the cute harem with him already, but do something with them. Like, give them personality, have them have character or something like this. Not just following and saying Sugoi. About so far that I've watched, that I've gotten out of these three characters, the only thing that I've gotten out of these three characters is that Rain is older than she actually looks, and she's obsessed with relics. That's it. That's all I've gotten out of these characters. I think one of them, it was Silk, really likes food. I don't know. I forget what the other one was, but like, I've gotten nothing out of these three girls. Like, they're literally there again just to say Sugoi. And it's like, you had me with episode 1. Like, you literally had me at episode 1 and lost me. So it has potential, and maybe that's, I don't think it can stick around that long.
I mean, if something amazing pops up in the next few episodes, I'll let you know, but I seriously doubt it. It doesn't feel like a...
How many episodes you watched? Are you going to stick with this show through the core switch?
I don't know.
See, there's the problem.
I will.
There's the problem. I'm trying to pre-warn Chris here. You're going to get to the core move over, and you're going to have to get caught up in a new season of stuff, and this is going to be the last one you're going to get back to. I feel like this is going to be one of those shows. You'll get to episode 11, the new season's going to start. You're going to be spending all of your time watching the next season to get the first impressions done, and you're going to look back at this and go, do I really want to get caught up on 8 episodes? You better stop. You do you, Chris. I just don't think
I'm doing all right. Okay,
this is a show that is going to be lost in a 2-core run.
It's possible. I'm not gonna promise that I'm gonna get through all of it. I'm just saying that as it stands right now, I'll keep going with it. But like I said, it feels like something's missing. There's no heart to it. It just feels like
it's got Roxy though. That's the only thing that I want to watch the show.
Like you said, I think that it had a cool idea with Yuke. The problem is that he's nothing is there to kind of go, okay, like breaking down the magic. All it does right now is blah, and then all of a sudden there's debuffs all over the screen on the bad guy and a bunch of buffs on the good guys.
And then the monster goes, Sugoi, dies. and then finally this recent episode, we finally seen the Demon Lord, and the Demon Lord was looking at his crystal ball and he's like, Sugoi, I will get you, nation, but for right now, Sugoi.
He's watching a live stream. He's not looking in a crystal ball.
He's watching the live stream through the crystal ball. He ain't got a direct feed, so he's got a crystal ball into the guild office where you can see the live stream.
That's all right. You've got a whole bunch of people who are typing at you because they think he's Sugoi, and you're bashing him.
Leave a comment down below if you think that Yuki is Sugoi. I think the reason why I'm tripping out on how he's pronounced is because I think that they just call him Sensei, didn't they?
Yes.
They just call him Sensei.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I might
Shishio. It might be Sensei, Shishio, or Senpai. I
might pop in every now and then just to see Rain. I don't think a Roxy knockoff is enough for me to keep watching, but I kind of do want to keep watching just for the Roxy knockoff. Anyways, that's how I left my A-rank party to help my former students, including Roxy, Sylphie, and Edis. But what else we got? Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. Have you watched the new season of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun?
I think I watched an episode.
An episode? Did you get to watch did you find the new seventh wonder, the new seventh wonder, which is the clock.
Yes, he found the
identity of the clock.
Yes, let's just say that.
It's like 3 episodes in there.
Did I go that far?
Did you find the secrets of Nene? Did they get to the Yashiro's secret?
No.
I haven't got that far. You just got the reveal of who the clock was.
Yes.
I don't know. Anyways, yeah, for those that don't know what Toilet-Bound Hanako-kun is, it's about this school, Kamone Academy, which has, typically the 7 wonders of the world, or 7 wonders of the school, which are like these different, like, lore ideas of, like, weird oddities about the school that you can check out, like the whole step that, like, everything, if you hit, like, the 3rd step on the steps or something like that, something will curse you, whatever, that kind of stuff. Yeah, of course, one of them being the toilet-bound Hanako-kun, where you go to the toilet in the stall in the abandoned side of the school, and you knock on it 3 times, and then you say, "Come out, Hanako-kun, and grant my wish," or whatever. In the earlier season, Yashiro does that, and then Hanako-kun comes out, and it's a boy. And they start kind of going around and finding different wonders of this school together. But yeah, in this season, we got into some question marks flying up about Aoi Akane, which is the fact that it seems like whatever she brings up, something seems to happen. So she might actually have some tie-ins with all the oddities that are happening around the school. So when they go to confront her, they end up looking into one of the wonders of the school, which is these 3 clocks, one that controls the future of time, one that stops time, and one that goes back in time or something like that. I forget exactly how it was laid out, but yeah, they end up getting an idea of who this wonder could end up being, because suddenly stuff start happening where, like, the classroom suddenly, it's like, 500 years has jumped forward in time in the classroom, or some of the students start looking like they're 80 years old or whatever. So somebody's messing with time, so they're trying to find this particular clock yokai thing. And so, yeah, they go to confront it and then find out the identity of the person. And then, yeah, something happens to Yashiro, which does reveal a massive secret behind Yashiro and her fate. And certain characters like Kyo are trying to make sure they can do everything they can in order to stop that fate. And that's kind of as far as I've gotten in it so far, is dealing with the clock and then jumping back in time a little bit to kind of undo some stuff that they unfolded. So what do you think of the season so far? Even though you've only watched, like, I think that's only two episodes, something like that.
I don't think I got very far. I like it. I mean, I liked the original Hanako-kun, and so going into this season, it's more of the same. I still think it looks absolutely amazing.
Art style's so great.
I really do love it.
Every time I watch this show, I literally have to tell somebody, like, God, I wish more shows look like this.
I absolutely think that the voice actress for
it's like Shadow House, just the same thing as Shadow House. Like, yeah. I love that unique style.
And I think that the voice actress for Hanako-kun is absolutely amazing. I think that
the Lady Slayer,
yeah, it works so well. But yeah, as it stands right now, I've unfortunately not gotten into it too far because I'm constantly bouncing around on all kinds of shows. Going to end up catching up on this at some point, and I'm gonna love it. I know I will.
Yeah, I thought the first season, there was a lot of it that I really did enjoy, but it was really a lot to do with, one, the style. I love the aesthetic and the feel of it is really a big key thing there as well. And yeah, there's the underlying plot lines of all these weird mysteries and weird oddities they end up running into. And the one thing that always kind of grabbed me a lot, and it was not something that it was something that I kind of forgot about until about the 3rd episode mark or so, where they did have that big reveal around Yashiro, where I'm like, God, I forgot how dark it can feel sometimes. Like, this writer's really good at kind of having these, it's almost like a switch happens. Like, it's fun and bubbly, and they're like, oh, here's Mirai. Mirai is the clock of forward time. And so she's kind of on the loose, and she's going around, and she's just, triggering things to get old. And so she's running into all the students, and the students are getting old, and they're like, chase her down. It's this cute little lolly thing that's kind of floating around and being goofy, and everybody's chasing her down. You gotta stop her. And then at some point, Hanako's like, hey, Kyo, don't let her anywhere near Yashiro. Like, no matter what, do anything you can, keep her away from Yashiro. And then like they're chasing around, it's goofy and it's silly, and all of a sudden, boom, runs into Yashiro, and things get dark real quick. And there was this one moment where like Kyo is like, dude, Hanako, why aren't you more serious about the situation? Like, why do you have a smile on your face? And then Hanako's like, what face do you want me to have? I've always been around this stuff. What face do you want me to have? And it had like this really twisted face. And again, Hanako Seiyu, like, oh gosh, dude. It was like out of nowhere. I'm like, holy crap, this frame right here. I took a screenshot of it and I sent a couple people that I knew were watching. I'm like, I love how dark this show can get out of nowhere and how twisted this face look and how it all makes perfect sense to me. Like, this doesn't feel forced. It's like, I can see Hanako saying this. And the way that the Seiyu delivered it was like,
he's got that voice that just
out of nowhere. Yeah, it's just like, what kind of face do you want me to have? And it's like, mid. And again, like it was like out of nowhere, spam right in your face. It just suddenly got heavy. And they did the same thing with the first season. I think it was like mostly around like Sosuke and stuff like that. It just gets, I mean, even Tsukasa, all that stuff, it can get dark real fast. And again, I really like the fact that, and I think this is a reason why you probably didn't drop the first season, it doesn't stay in it.
Yeah.
It does shift very quickly back out of it, but it's just enough to kind of give you that really feeling of like, there technically is stakes with the characters in this thing. It's not just all fluff and games. There's a lot of stuff here that does kind of get a little bit heavy. And it all kind of is encompassed with just a solid cast of characters. Again, I like Hanako and his kind of twisted nature. I've always adored Yashiro. She is just adorable. And again, the art style and everything kind of carries it as well. It's just a series I've always loved. Like, enough that I even watched those stupid little shorts. Even though most of the episodes of the shorts weren't really all that great. It's just got a lot of lore and interesting characters and dynamics and mechanics within this whole world that I've always kind of eaten up. So, I love it. I love it. Looking forward to more. Let me know when you get to the twist. I'd be very curious your thoughts on it. I don't remember them ever implying anything about the twist before, so I think it's been a while since the first season. Holy crap. Because I remember we initially got the first season. I think they announced the second season pretty quickly, but it's just like was complete crickets around it. Then they had 2 after school Hanako-kun seasons. And then finally this one comes out. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. No more shorts. Get back to the show. A big one, Chris. A big show of this season. One of my favorites. And I think based on our conversations here and there, I think it's one of your favorites. Unless we talked about it already. I don't think we have talked about it. The Red Ranger?
I thought we did.
Tell me we did, because that'll save me some time. I think we discussed it. I don't know if we've talked about it. No. I do not see it. I do not see it in any of my lists.
Okay.
When would we have talked about it? I think we probably did like a passing closing conversation about it. But yeah, the Red Ranger becomes adventurer in another world. Or Sentai Red Isekai de Boukensha ni Naru. This one is being done by Studio Satellite. Sources of manga. Genres are action, adventure, comedy, fantasy. This one follows Togo Asakagi, who is the Red Ranger, and as he's taking on the big evil bad Breakup King, the big boss of the evil organization. He's in his Red Ranger outfit, and he's going out there to take him on in his castle. And as he's finishing him off, the Breakup King blows up, and he's falling out of the sky, and suddenly finds himself transported into another world, a fantasy world, where we jump to Yidra. Which she is this mage that is currently trying to reclaim the title of Scepter, which was apparently their family has always had in this kingdom. But at some point it was taken over, and she's still trying to, carry on the family legacy by reclaiming it. So she's studying a lot of stuff, something to bring to the kingdom. As she's trying to do her studies, she ends up trying to employ somebody that can take on one of her golems. And then suddenly Togo shows up to accept this challenge to take on this golem, and he quickly transforms into his Power Ranger outfit, his Red Ranger outfit, and then takes it on and destroys the golem. And she's freaking out the entire time, like, wait, did he just transform into an outfit? Like, wait, why was there an explosion behind him when he did that pose? Why does the thing explode when he punches it? Why does this thing keep yelling out different commands? What is this cheesy name for the attack that he did? But he beats the thing, so she's like, okay, I'll hire you. That's fine. Basically, that she has to go to this one dungeon in order to acquire these mana gems, and so she needed somebody strong to do that. So, but yeah, we find out that again that she's doing her studies in order to, work for this separate thing. Eventually, they catch the attention of the princess of the nation. She comes to this lady, comes to her for this one job, and it's to find these corrupting seeds, these mana seeds that people are apparently distributing, which people can put on themselves to give them some sort of power, but it kind of feeds off of them, whatnot. So they're trying to take those out. So that's been the story so far. What are you thinking?
I love it. This show is absolutely nuts. I love the where you normally have the isekai, the character is kind of reacting to the world. This is almost a kind of complete flip on it. It's where you almost feel like the isekai feels normal, and you have somebody coming into it, and it's actually kind of flipping the entire thing around. And I find it absolutely nuts. I just most everybody reacting to Togo, and he's got all these cheesy stories for every one of the things that he's got going on. I mean, and it's absolutely the most bizarre. I mean, I've never thought of a Sentai group based around the idea of making connections. I mean, it makes sense because half the time there's bonds and all that stuff, but to have an entire Sentai group around saving marriages or relationships is absolutely great. I love it. So yeah, it's been an absolute blast watching this show.
Yeah, I think Eudora is probably the reason why I love it the most. Like, her reactions every time he does something is hilarious. I was kind of putting it in one of my videos, that the idea that it almost feels like this is like her reactions in this fantasy world, like you were kind of putting it with her, or it's like everything in the fantasy seems more normal than Toga himself. Mm-hmm. And so you almost feel like she's just like me, where she's constantly going, why does that work like that? Like the way I put it is basically her reactions are any non-Super Sentai fans' reactions. Like, again, why did that explode? Or yeah, what would happen if she's literally standing behind Togo, and this monster's showing up, and he's like, I'll take you on. He poses and it explodes, and she's standing behind him, so she gets shot off, and then like she gets exploded. Like his explosion behind him for his pose hurts her. So she's like, dude, seriously. And then yeah, he's like, okay, well, this is too tough, so we'll just jump in my mecha suit. And suddenly she's like, why am I in here? He's like, yeah, let's use our power of friendship to take this on. And then suddenly the machine isn't working. He's like, you have to think like we have to work together or whatever. And she's like, why would it have a feature like that? Yeah, and like they go in this dungeon, they're competing with this other group. And as they're in the dungeon, suddenly this massively powerful monster shows up. And they're like, crap, it's hurting us bad. We're not going to be able to do this. Don't worry, I'll get my mecha suit out. And suddenly he summons his mecha suit. And I'm thinking in my brain, like, but they're in a cage. Sure enough. like the moment I think of, wait, this thing wouldn't fit in here. They're in this small dungeon, this small little tunnels. And sure enough, that this thing's like crushed in there. And everybody's like, wait, dude, you're crushing us. But it all works out because the machine crushes the monster. And then, yeah, they go to attack the monster, and they all have to... He's like, everybody grab a hold of this cannon. And it's, again, the 4 rangers have to hold the cannon. And if they don't all have the same heart, the cannon doesn't work. So suddenly it's like, oh, man, it's not shooting. We're not all the same heart. And she's like, why does it work like that? Why wouldn't you just pull the trigger and it shoots? No, we all have to be like-minded for it to work? What? Like, it's the whole power of friendship thing, and suddenly gets thrown on its head. It's just, again, I think it's been doing very well, kind of making the absurd stuff really work. I do think that Loshi and Tiltina, the princess, I think they've been a great addition to it as well, because I think that, like, Logi, like, constantly getting thwarted by Togo is hilarious. Like, literally, they do a duel together, and he summons the damn mecha again. And so you have this massive mecha, and then for some reason, Logi doesn't even sweat it. Like, he's like, I'm still going to take it on. But then we realize very quickly, the princess got summoned into the mecha too. So literally, the princess is like, "What is this room?" And then suddenly Loji realizes that the princess is inside the mecha, and he starts getting mad, thinking that he's kidnapping the princess. But it's just because whenever it summons, they get put inside the mecha, so it just happens. But no, I think the thing that makes this work so well is I love Idra's character. Like, she is so freaking funny. She's hot too. She's turning out to be like one of my favorite female characters of the series season so far. But like, Togo's fine. Like, he's just a Genki Super Sentai
Power of friendship
guy.
Fiery youth.
Yeah, fiery youth is really where it is. Like, he's just all about like vigor and getting out there and getting it done. There's really nothing to him. It's mostly just around her and how she reacts to him is constantly kind of keeping him in check, and her just looking at the absurdity of whatever he somehow musters. Like, I love how like he joins the Adventure Guild, and she's like, "Well, what is your stats and everything?" Is like, "Oh, here you go," and like he hands over his
It's not the same.
It's a freaking advertisement for like this show. Like, literally, it's a billboard of him. So yeah, it's like, power gusto kick and everything, and it literally plays out a commercial of him, and it's like, what? Your stats are like 500 tons or something like that. Kick? That doesn't even. How? Like, that doesn't even physically make any sense or something like that. I forget exactly what it said. It's just
no. I thought it had
crap.
something to do with it. This stat sheet is not even what you broke the stats.
She's just like, it cuts back after it like shows all this stuff, and she just looks defeated. Like, what is this I'm looking at? It's like, it's sitting on the ground. She's just like down there, like, what the hell is this thing? Like, again,
I do remember them playing the commercial though. That was kind of absurd.
Is dorky. Yeah, cutting the car completely in half, and yeah, it's like this insanely powerful 500-ton kick or something like that. It's just it's absurd. It super big surprise for me this season. Like, this one was, I think when we seen like the advertisement stuff, I think we made a passing joke like, haha, it's an Isekai with the Power Rangers, but I was pretty confident that like it's gonna be funny like the first episode, and then it's gonna fall off. Mm-hmm. It hasn't fall off. Like, they're doing a really good job of keeping it going.
I'm trying to somehow fit the other Power Rangers into this. It has to be in there.
Yeah, I'm curious because like the other ones don't look that unique looking.
You think so?
I mean, some of them look very generic looking people. So I don't know, but I can see it. I can see it, but I don't know. They kind of looked pretty generic when they show them briefly. And I think they're getting mostly their stories through other things. Like, whenever he's bringing up something that he's having a struggle with, he just brings up randomly, oh, that was one time with the Blue Ranger or whatever, and this had happened, and we were having a little bit of a struggle with our friendship or whatever. I think they're kind of tying them that way, but I don't know. I don't need it. I think that's the thing. I don't need it. I think they could, I mean, I trust the writer to do something good with it, but I don't need it.
It's not so much that I want
Princess and Loji there. They have enough of chemistry, I think.
Well, it's not so much that I want
I thought Loji would be one.
Yeah, I kind of wanted the other. I
can see them turning. I can see them granting you
turning the others into the. I'd even accept that.
I could see them granting them it. I mean, but they're already doing that technically because they're going in the mech with them. They're
the main reason why I say I kind of want him to bring them over is because he doesn't have the little tags. I don't think.
I got it. Again, she's studying to be the scepter. She's got to do something. She got to do a great achievement. She'll find out how to grant them the Power Ranger powers.
You think so?
That's what it's going to be. And then she'll turn into the Pink Ranger.
You think she's going to be pink or yellow?
Pinku.
You think she'll
I don't know. Purple.
I think Teltina would be better as pink.
Make her purple. I don't know. Loji's got to be blue, obviously.
Because yellow is the smart one, isn't it?
I don't know.
Pink is the love one.
I've only watched one Super Sentai ever, and it was the American knockoff version of Power Rangers. I've watched clips of the other ones, but I've never really invested myself enough. A lot of these concepts of Super Sentai is fresh for me, so. But I'm loving it though. It's easily up there as for the new shows. Would it be my third favorite? Question mark. So it's got Medalist, Flower and Asura, and then Red Ranger maybe? Question mark for my new shows of the season. I think so.
Probably.
I might be missing something else that I'm really liking, but I think that's my third. I think it fought with Oji-san for a bit, but I think Oji-san kind of went down below it here recently. Yeah, I think so. I think it's up there. It might be fighting with Guild Receptionist and Oji-san, but it's between those three in that area. So definitely that's my top 5 right there, basically. So, anyways, what else? What else do we got? Headhunted to Another World, from Salaryman to Big Four. Have you been watching that one?
Yes.
Yes. Such an odd way of responding. Yes. Headhunted to Another World, from Salaryman to Big Four. Salaryman ga Isekai ni itara shitenao ni nata hanashi. Streaming on Crunchyroll, running for 12 episodes. Done by Studio Geek Toys. Adventure, comedy, fantasies, the genres. And this one is about Denosuke Uchimura, who is a salaryman who at some point was being pretty much exploited by his company. They like shipped him off into like some overseas location where like he had a factory full of people that just didn't even want to work. And then he eventually figured out some way of kind of working with the people, getting him back into the factory and getting the work going. This company was just exploiting the hell out of him. And at some point he finds himself isekai before the Demon King of this other world. And the Demon King basically says, hey, what do they call him? Like the overseas
manager.
Overseas manager. We're gonna bring you in here. We're gonna give you like all the benefits you need and everything like that. I want you to work to help this army rise up, bring all these different tribes together so that we can fight back. And he's like, what? I'm just human. And like even the salamander Big Four members, like, what the heck? You're gonna bring a human in here? So yeah, he kind of has to prove himself. So he gives him this one task where it's to try to win over this Taurus guy, and so Minotaur. And so he goes in there and he figures out that the Minotaur, typically they have like a custom where like you would give them a bed, and so you had to bring some hay inside there and listen to his worries. And it was like this whole thing where like Salamander didn't really Umadra, she didn't really kind of understand their customs and what he was honestly trying to say. And because Denosuke has had experience in the past where he was doing work with other overseas individuals who didn't speak their Japanese, he understood like sometimes they're a little, animated with certain, obviously American. Some foreigners are very animated about how they're expressing things. They're not necessarily mad, but they're kind of, expressing that they're into some idea. And so it's trying to figure out how to communicate with people that aren't not of your culture and your language and whatnot. So it's basically him just using his own knowledge of his work as a salaryman in Japan to work with other tribes and figure out their issues and help them, bring them under the demon lord's command so they can, save their people. Thoughts? Oh yeah, and the entire time, the hot salamander girl constantly thinks that he is giving her like, a proposal for marriage and stuff like that.
Right.
Because she has her own issues. Like, it was so sad, the whole thing where he's like, you should cover up more. And she finds it offensive. Like, girl, that was so, I feel so bad. Because, like, her whole tribe is like this idea of like, they show their power through their lack of clothes. They show their bodies to show their strength. And so him saying to cover up is basically an insult to her pride and everything. At least the ogre girl that was about to marry him to take over her tribe smooth things out. I love the salamander girl. She's great. Thoughts on it?
It's fine. It's doing good enough to.
Fine.
It is. It's fine. I'm generally warm to it. I like the kind of goofy. It's not really doing a build of nation thing. It's like Andrew said. He's kind of bringing the nation together. Is really kind of more what it's doing. I like each one of the girls that he's pretty much got in his harem. I'm absolutely obsessed with the idea that at some point we're gonna find out that Mao is the bartender. Generally I'm having a good time with it. I like it.
I don't think I've ever really noticed what the bartenders say you sounded like, if it was similar to the Demon Lord. But yeah, it's always seems like it's in his head, really. So it's like all the other. But I mean, it's literally him personifying the characters in there. He could totally be personifying the Demon Lord in there, or it could be some weird magical spell he's doing. But
he's just setting him up so that he can take his spot as the Demon Lord.
I'm very mixed on the show. Like, on one hand, I do find myself entertained every episode that I watch of the show. At the same time, it's also, again, similar to another show I talked about this episode. One of those shows where I'm not, like, craving the next episode. I think a lot of my enjoyment really kind of comes around him and his chemistry with Umandra. Because I think that she's freaking fantastic. But yeah, but that's mostly kind of around the idea of her constantly wanting something from him or expecting something from him, and she's a hopeless romantic. Like, he's obviously a very salaryman kind of person with absolutely zero comprehension of romance whatsoever, and her constantly getting the wrong signals from him based on his own lack of what he's doing with his own lack of what he's doing. So I don't know. It's like, on one end, it's clever enough in the idea that most of this stuff is around. It is kind of a nation building concept here, bringing people together, solving issues for this Demon Lord. So it's kind of taking the whole Isekai thing from a different angle, rather than it be he's OP coming in there and blasting everything. He literally just has nothing but his own wits, and so it kind of comes down to him. Yeah, most of the time going into a situation not really knowing what the hell to do. And then, yeah, he has a bar scene where he goes into his own mind, where he's at a bar in Japan, and sometimes you'll have some of the other characters are there, like Yomandra will be there, and she's in like a business suit, and she's some kind of hopeless lady there, kind of struggling with her work. And you'll have Genoma's over there, and she doesn't want to be bothered. She just want to play her game because she's a little geek girl kind of sitting in the bar. And then suddenly he'll overhear something and go, aha, that's it. And then suddenly sorry, Yuki. Suddenly he'll pop back into the reality world. He straightens up his tie and says, I'm gonna make the deal or whatever, and then he goes into the room and solves the issue. It's very formulaic like that, and again, it's not really doing anything special, but at the same time, it's an okay show. Like, of all the kind of throwaway isekais this season and fantasy shows, this is the one that I'm like, it kind of feels unique, and I kind of want to finish it, but at the same time, I don't know if it's enough to really kind of push me to watch it. So we'll see. I'm really sorry, Yuki. She's really mad that I did that. We're close to like we're past the usual mark, and that's why she's getting anxious out of nowhere. Anything else on Headhunted?
Mm-mm.
That's Headhunted to Another World. The Big Four. Tasokare Hotel. I made a whole video on this, so like definitely check that out. Go into like deeper details on that whole thing there in that video. But Tasokare Hotel is a series that is running for 12 episodes, made by Studio PRA. Source, it's just PRA.
Oh, okay.
Source is a video game. Genres are mystery, supernatural. The series essentially opens up with this girl who at some point she wakes up in the middle of an empty field, and as she's kind of wandering around trying to figure out where she is, how she got there, eventually ends up coming across a hotel. And she enters the hotel, and at the receptionist there is a dude with a flaming head. He's the manager of the place, and she's like, I don't know why I'm here. And he's like, oh, that's fine, you're at the hotel. Here, let me show you to your room. She's like, okay. She gets, taken off into this hotel room where she ends up getting the explanation of where she's at. Again, she's at the Tasokare Hotel. What this is it basically a location that is between the living and the dead. And the idea is that people that are at the point of death, they come to the hotel. They can sometimes find themselves at this hotel where they will be brought to a room, and the room itself actually forms around the person's memories. And so, yeah, when she walks in this room, there's a bunch of stuff there that is all stuff that relates to her memories. And so she finds this, picture of this idol group, and she goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. That I love that idol group. That's my favorite idol group." And it cuts to her. She's in the crowd and she's shaking the little lights because she loves that group. And she's like, "Oh yeah, there's this ticket that I was supposed to go to that one, idol, that one performance they were gonna have." And then she eventually finds her ID, and she goes, "Oh, so yeah, my name is Neko." So yeah, her name is Neko Sukahara. And then at that point, now that she has her identity, she knows who she is, suddenly her face forms. She suddenly has an identity, her face forms. And what kind of follows this is that she goes, okay, finds out at this point that this is who you are. Now the next step is that you have to learn if you are alive or if you're dead. Finding out what happened to you at your point of your possible death. And so until she can figure that out, she can't really leave. Once she figures that out, she can walk out the front door and return back to the world of living. And so while she's trying to figure that out and figure what that whole situation is, at this point, she starts to meet the other members of the hotel itself, all the different staff members, and also meet other people that are currently staying at the hotel. And so she'll kind of run into different people that have no faces, and she'll kind of help them try to figure out what their identities are. Once they figure out their identities, their face will then form into how they actually look. And then she sometimes will help them out finding out if they're dead or not, what their situation is about their death. But yeah, very quickly, because she likes the mystery of this all and everything, and she's stuck there anyways, she decides to ask the manager if she can start working there, because there's other people that are staff there that actually have not figured out their reasons for being there as well. But yeah, over time, she'll meet different people and help them out. The key ones that we've done so far, like there's one guy that was like, he's got like this, he's like a pachinko ball, like it's for his head. And then she eventually helps him figure out his identity, gets his identity, kind of find out that he has massive debt. And he's been stealing money from his mother, and eventually he got buried by this mob group to, pay for his debts by burying him alive. And so he's sent off. And so the question is, maybe he could possibly take himself out of the hole and make it back to his mother. But yeah, one big one that, again, it played out like that for the series overall until about the fourth episode. And that's where I kind of got a sense that this writing might actually go in some interesting directions, as they suddenly introduced a murderer into the hotel. And there's this guy that when he first comes in, he's like, yeah, he's got a bunch of detective stuff around him. He's like, yeah, I obviously I'm a detective. And she's like, oh, look at this book. It's full of pictures of dead people. And he's like, yeah, those are probably all the murder mystery, all the different victims that I was looking into for their cases. And eventually she kind of confronts him and says, I don't think you're a detective. I think you're the murderer. And sure enough, that's kind of what turns out to be. He apparently has been killing people, and eventually at some point he found himself impaled on this kind of fencing line. And so instead of him leaving, he's decided to stay there. And what this kind of turned into is that he's seemingly testing out the hotel. Because when he first is confronted about the fact that he's a murderer, he goes, I have to kill you because you might return back to the world of living, and then you'll turn me in because now you know my secret. And they're like, well, you can't kill anybody in the hotel because immediately you will go to hell. And he's like, well, I can't have that, so I'm not going to do anything. But now it seems like he's testing those things. He's testing out, well, if you kill somebody, will you actually go to hell? Well, what if you did this, or what if this? And that's where things got really dark, because then they included these two kids that were friends. There was Nagamo and Kyo. And when they first got there, they kind of thought they knew each other. Then when they got their identities, they go, oh yeah, that's right, that's my friend. And so they kind of come together and they're super happy. But then they get an argument about the fact that one of them wants to get into, they're both in a kendo club, and one of them wants to take it serious. The other one doesn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And they got kind of in an argument before they came here. And their memory was kind of hazy in the idea. They're starting to figure it out. And then they realized that, yes, they were having an argument in this storeroom, and then this shelf fell down on them. And they're both within this point of the hotel where they're trying to figure out which one of them are dead, if they're dead or alive. And then Masaki, this murderer, he ends up getting one of them off the side. He gets Nagamo off the side, and he says, I know what actually happened. She killed you because she was jealous. And she's still alive. Now, if you could kill her, then that will undo your death, and then you can return to the world of the living. And again, they're still kind of in this moment where they're kind of trying to figure out what their whole memories are, and they're still a little mixed up. So Nagumo takes that as true. Like, if I kill her, she killed me. If I can kill her in this area, I will be able to return back, and then she'll go away. And so she goes and attacks her friend. And her friend at this time is still kind of piecing it together, and she feels she's at fault about that equipment falling on her because she was pursuing her about not taking the Kendo Club seriously. And so she ends up taking upon herself the death. She accepts it because that's her friend, and her friend's upset about her being killed by her. And so it's like this whole, like, she blames her and she blames herself sort of situation, so she accepts the death. And then sure enough, of course, she dies, she disappears in the hotel, goes to nothingness. Nagumo, realizing what she did, she panics and she runs out the door. Hell sucks her in. So it's literally these two girls who, by some freak accident in the real living world, end up here, have no idea why they're there, and their memories are kind of slowly coming together, and this dude literally manipulates one of them into killing the other one before being sucked into the void. It's like, this is so messed up. Like, this is the moment where I'm like, I kind of like this show, and it is so twisted, and I hate what just happened on my screen, but I kind of want to know where this is going to go. Are you getting hints at something here? Very Death Parade.
Yeah, you said that.
And I'm kind of very curious. Did I say it on here?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you watched my video.
No, I didn't.
Or was it my previous?
Yeah,
previous one. I think it's nowhere to the caliber of Death Parade, obviously, because Death Parade's like goddamn good. I'm kind of curious where it can go from here. It had another episode that kind of did something similar with Masaki. He's a dirtbag, but he's kind of a chaos creator, and he's opening up the door to some really dark writing that I'm curious if it will deliver in the end. But it's got me. I'm assuming you haven't checked it out yet.
Mm-mm.
Super twisted. Looking forward to more. It's not the greatest looking show. I do like Neko. She's kind of a goofball. I'm kind of curious what they'll end up doing with her character and what her real identity is and what she's gone through. I'm curious if she might be an idol. Like, she's not actually an Idol fan. She's actually one of the Idol members. Mm-hmm. That would be an interesting twist. But yeah, looking forward to more of that one. Did you check out I'm a NEET Kunoichi?
Yes-ish.
I'm living with a NEET, took a NEET Kunoichi, or NEET Kunoichi to nazeka dose hajimemashita. Done by Studios Quad. Going to be going for 24 episodes, and I think they're basically 2 episodes an episode. It's a really weird, different release schedule compared to Japan. High Dive is streaming it. Manga is a source, comedy, ecchi, romance. This one opens up with Tsukasa, and he is walking home one day, and eventually he is attacked by a yokai, and this girl shows up in this ninja outfit, and she protects him and says, hey, you're like this bloodline of some old ancient group, and your blood is awakening, and thus these yokai are going to come attack you constantly. Make a pact with me, and I will protect you as a ninja. And he's like, okay. And so the pact actually includes her staying at his place and leeching off of him. But it actually turns out right, because as he's coming home every day, eventually, a monster will show up and attack him, and she'll pop up out of nowhere and kill the monster, and they'll return home together, and she'll play video games all night. She's basically just like this leech. She's like an Amaru-chan, but actually does things. It's like my sister Amaru-chan is a monster creature eating thingy majiggy, but she actually is a ninja, and she goes out there and fights baddies that attack him. And then eventually we meet other members of her ninja group, and they show up because they all respect her a lot. They get a little bit in the idea of it's obviously she's in love with him, and we find out through one of the other ones that they actually get exiled if they fall in love with their pact person contract. And so there's a little bit of question if she can even love him, even though she seems like she likes him.
There's the one that's...
And there's the one that...
Kind of yandere.
Has a tent, too. Yeah.
She has a tent. Oh, yeah, there's that one, too.
Yeah, there's that one.
There's that one, too.
There's that one, yeah.
Yeah, interesting show.
That is the yandere one, yes, the one with the tent. I haven't met the twin tail one yet. I don't think. Yeah.
There's twin tail.
Yeah, there's. I had another one on my list. I don't think I got into the episode with the Kane blonde twin tail girl. What are your thoughts on it so far?
It's interesting. It's goofy. I like the kind of gremlin type character, so I'm fine with it. I kind of want more out of it than what I've gotten so far, but I'm only like 2 or 3 episodes at best into this. I was watching it just fine the first couple of weeks, and then the last few weeks have gone nuts. So I do like it. What I had seen of it, but at the same time, I hadn't gotten far enough to see anything really interesting out of it so far. But I figure it's probably going to stick on to its formula of just being gremlin and then weird thing happening, and maybe the other characters will slowly start either liking Tsukasa, or we'll just keep going back and forth of talking about all the things that they're doing.
I'm actually surprised how little gremlin it is. Like I was thinking like it was going to open up with, okay, she ropes him into this contract, and then literally all it is him coming home and she's just literally just vegging on stuff. But no, she's actually fighting stuff. She's actually going out there and saving his butt. And I
tried to help teach the other one that was unconfident and all that.
Yeah, I actually like a lot of his chemistry with her, because there's like this cute thing where like sometimes she'll show up and immediately hand him, like he's walking down the street, this monster shows up, she's like, okay, here. And she hands him her phone. And he's like, oh, okay. And it's a smartphone game, and there's an event. So she's having him do the event while she kills the monster, and he's having to tap the button over and over again to make sure that she doesn't miss out on the event. And then she finishes off the mob, and she comes back over and says, did you get it? Did you get it? And he's like, yeah, here you go. And she's like, yes, you got the thing I needed. It's kind of this silly thing where like she's just obsessed with her video games and stuff like that. And so there's this give and take between the two of them where, yeah, he comes home and she's just got a new video game. She's constantly doing the video game. Or yeah, there was a limited time thing that she had to get her or something like that, and it turns this whole thing where like he goes on a business trip and he leaves her money for food, and she gives him a talisman so that he doesn't get attacked by monsters while he's on this business trip. And then by the time he comes back, she had spent the money to buy this like really like rare figurine, and then he brought it home to her, and it's just like this whole like sad moment with it. There's a lot between the two of them, Tsukasa and Shizuri, that I really, really like. I do like their chemistry. I like her goofy nature. I like the otaku-ness of her. And again, it's not Umaru-chan, which I don't typically like. I was okay with Hina. She was fine. Again, it was the whole confidence thing. She's not strong enough. She can't have the support of the clan anymore because she's fell in love and she wants to be independent and protect her boyfriend now. That stuff was fine. Ayame, I'm okay with. It's a bit much for me. It's a little over the line for me, but it's fine. And I think the Ayame kind of introduces something that I'm not sure that I'm gonna like going forward with the series, and that's the idea that this is sort of one of those shows where it almost feels like they introduced the character type and then that's their joke. So I'm hoping that kind of doesn't keep going throughout the entire series. I'll be interested to see what Kanae is. I'm sure I'll probably like Kanae's character, but I'm liking the show a lot more than I thought I would coming into it. But I will admit there's some jokes that get a little bit repetitive. But I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, and I probably will end up finishing it. Again, it shouldn't be a 2-core. It'll just be a single core of double episodes. It was a short originally, and they're just making them into single episodes. It's good. It's good. It's got its moments. I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would, but it's not I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it though. And our last show, Chris, our last is My Happy Marriage Season 2. Have you been keeping up on this one?
I haven't even gotten to it yet.
Oh no! Did you watch the movie or the OVA? The 13th episode.
I don't remember an OVA.
It was the episode where she goes out to the dinner with him, and they end up meeting together. The new leader guy. Yeah, I've been enjoying the second season so far. It's not like I'm blown away by it so far. Essentially, with the second season, what happens is we go to meet Kudo's family, and initially we meet the father, who is seemingly something that Kyoka Kudo does not like. He doesn't like his father, but they end up going back to his estate, where we have to meet the wife of the house, the madam of the house, and she is super mean to Mio. Looks at Mio as a servant. Very quickly, as they're staying at the place, she has Mio dress up in a maid's outfit because that's fitting for her low stature, and starts to kind of poke and prod at Mio, as Kyoka is currently trying to discover what is going on in the local area. They have some information. There's a cult that's rising up in the area that are turning people into demons. And so he's currently investigating that. All the while, Mio is being tortured to death by the crazy psycho mom of the house that won't seem to accept her. Yeah, that's basically mostly so far. Eventually, they kind of got done with the investigation in that area and eventually leave to go back home, where we end up bumping into, I believe, somebody that is tied in with the Saimori family, which I'm curious what they can end up doing with that, because apparently the clan was tied in with the Saimori family. So yeah, my thoughts on this season so far, I'm enjoying it. I was a little bit frustrated by Mio's character with how she deals with the madam of the house, because I
sounds like it's complete reverting back.
Yeah, I mean, it's that whole thing where, like, I understand why she's doing it. Like, it's that whole thing of, like, she's so good at kind of being a doormat to people until they accept her kind of thing. Like, yes, I knew that the moment she put on that maid outfit, she was going to essentially prove to the madam that she can take it. But I'm like, the moment she put it on, my mind immediately goes to, that is an absolute spit in the face of your fiance. Like, my gosh, dude, by you putting that on, you are making your husband look horrible. But yeah, I kind of understood what she was doing there. She was trying to show that she was strong. It ended up kind of turning into this idea that, yes, eventually she has to reveal to the madam of the house that she is of the Saimori clan, because she has to use their secret dream state diving ability in order to save this random villager that was infected by this demon conversion state. And the moment that she finds out that she's from the Saimori clan, suddenly the madam's like, wait, what? There's no way. You can't. That clan's dead. Yeah, in the end, I like what Mio does, and I like how that concludes with the madam of the house, but again, it's that whole aspect of, like, and it was a lot to do with the first season, was like, my heart broke for Mio. I mean, the whole opening of the story is how Mio is treated like trash by her father's new wife and his new daughter, and how she's basically turned into a maid of the house, treated like a servant. And being brought into Kudo's home, she's given a new life, and he is constantly trying to instill upon her to respect herself more. And the moment she goes to the other estate, the Kudo estate, it's like suddenly she gets down in the dirt again. Again, she becomes a doormat. This girl is a professional doormat to anybody that wants her to be a doormat. And there's these moments where I'm like, I just kind of wish, girl, please. It's like my heart breaks, girl, you have to stop acting like a doormat eventually, please. But I don't know. It's still a good show. I loved the first season so much. It was like that later arc of the first season that kind of started losing me. And I know a lot of other people kind of felt the same way. So I'm not alone in that. This new season, it's okay. Like, I'm super invested in it yet. I am curious where they're going to be going from here. Again, technically getting back into the Saimori clan again. Because that's kind of been one of the more interesting aspects of this whole story, is this idea of almost having it feels like a period, it feels literally like a period piece drama, but with this supernatural effect in there with yokais, and how every family has like this innate ability that they can kind of utilize. Again, the Saimori clan being essentially dream jumping, able to jump into dreams, and that's always been something that the politicians all are afraid of or want to control, because this clan can literally jump into the mind of a political leader and mess with them or get information from them. So it's something that people don't want around. It's got a cool concept there. It's always been a very beautiful looking show as well. So I'm invested. I'm curious what they'll end up doing with the Saimori clan, and we'll see where it goes from here. But that's where I'm at so far with it. I'll be curious if you are you planning on getting caught up with it eventually?
Yeah. I mean, I love the show, so it's just the stupid downloads.
It's that darn website, that Netflix place. It's hard to download it from it. I think that's it, Chris. Let me double check. We did Princess Lessons, Enshu, 100 Girlfriends, Hanako-kun, Salaryman. No. I didn't watch Grisaya Phantom Trigger because I had to watch a movie and an OVA. I might get around to it. That was a bummer. I got fired up that episode. I'm like, this feels like a recap. Oh, they aren't starting for the movie. They're going to go straight to a new season. Okay. Guess I got to cut up on that one. Yep, that's it. We got it, Chris. We did it. We just had one podcast episode that went over another 43 minutes. It wasn't that bad. But now we can get back into a music episode hopefully next week. Hopefully I'll get enough time to put together a music episode. Once again, I will request of Chris, and he will fail miserably to send me any possible recommendations. I'll put together a list, but you're welcome to tell me, hey, make sure you get this one in there. And I'll go,
Seems
okay,
like
Chris.
there's a couple, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, just text him as you see him. Text him as you see him.
I'm trying to keep up.
We've had a couple really good ones. I remember there was an Aimer one in there. Obviously, Solo Leveling is going to be in there because Sawano Hiroyuki, but Sawano Yuki and Lisa. Oh, that was a good one. That's a good one.
I want to say that this one I did like. I do really like it. And there's I want to say that Ting Lo Site is the ED.
Yep, Solo Leveling's EDs. Again, Link to Sate. We'll get together though. If not, we'll just do a discussional. We'll see. But yep, that's it. That's it for the first impressions of the spring or winter. Spring. I'm already ready for that. Was the first impression of the winter. Time to get to spring. That's it for the winter 2025 anime season. Hope you guys enjoyed these first impressions. Before you guys leave, whatever source you're watching on, YouTube or whatever, hit like. Leave us a comment. Appreciate you guys' support. Again, at talkspirit.com. That's where all of our links for social media links, ways to get a hold of us, ways to support us, all that good stuff. We greatly appreciate the support channel. Until next time, take care.
Os.